There are all sorts of reasons you shouldn't visit Harmony Care Home. The first of which is that there's something very wrong with the people who spend their last days here. Many come, no one ever leaves. Not many names on the visitor log, but I am one of them. It's all a little hazy now, but as I remember it, from the moment I pull into the parking lot, a heavy sense of foreboding sends all the hairs on my neck standing on end, and I linger under the sign, neck craned to read, Harmony Care Home. Caring, compassionate, harmonious senior living. Pastel shades of orange outline the slogan, while yellow daisies around the border offer promises of sunshine. But the paint is chipped and faded, making the overall effect less care than tragic neglect, like a wedding gown eaten away by moths. Harmony Care Home? More like ditch and forget home. I pull 2 cat carriers from the back seat of my car and stroll up the paved walkway across the grassy lawn. The moment I pass through the double doors, the chemical scent of cleaning supplies and Febreze wafts into my lungs, undercut by notes of something I can only describe as old age. I wrinkle my nose, but smile when the pretty blonde staffer looks up from the front desk. "Hello," she says. "Hello, I'm here to see Darlene Anderson." "And what is your relationship with Darlene?" The blonde's tag reads Lolita. "I'm her grandson, Jack." I'm not her grandson. In fact, I've never even met Darlene Anderson, but to explain our actual relationship would be complicated. Well, I guess it's not that complicated. I've scammed her out of a couple $1,000s through her cat rescuing. See, I'm actually more of a catfisher than a cat rescuer. Cat rescue groups are mostly comprised of middle-aged women like Darlene. So if you're a young grifter wanting to dip your sticky fingers in the donations pie, you'll do best to join under a sweet and dowdy name like, say, Suzanne. Call some kitty pictures from online, post some links to GoFundMes with sob stories. The cats did all right. My best fundraising scam was actually under the guise of Jacob, a little boy sick with cancer who got donations from hundreds of people all over the world. But then, some questionable life choices and a drug overdose put little Jacob into an actual hospitalization a couple months back. I woke up out of a coma to tons of messages from people worried about poor Jacob. Why no updates? Did he die? Meanwhile, the real me, Jack Wilde, was hovering near death with only the beeping of machines for company. Nothing like a near-death experience to make a man question his life choices. All of which is to say, I've given up on lies. Well, except to Lolita, just now about being Darlene's grandson. Anyway, I'm here because this morning I got a series of panicked messages on my old cat rescue profile. From Darlene. "Help! Mickles is very sick." Susan. "Oh no, I'm at work. Can your family help?" "Please, no one is helping. All those times I helped your cats, please remember. Jazz is dead. I think it's the cleaner they use." "Oh no, Jazz. What cleaners are they using?" "Mickles keeps throwing up. When are you coming? Need you to take Mickles and Prometheus. Harmony Care Home. Need vet now." "I'll send my son Jack. Hang in there." Normally, when the victims of my grifts start asking me for favors in return, I ghost them. But Darlene's messages made it seem like an emergency, and I didn't have time to find anyone else to pick up Mickles and Pickles. Okay, it's Prometheus, but come on, it should obviously be Pickles. So yes, this time, I genuinely am in the role of a cat rescuer. I mean, sure, my entire relationship with Darlene is based on stealing her money, but Mickles needs a vet. Come on, I'm not a monster. And after I have these guys living that fancy feast life, if I inflate the vet bill a little when asking Darlene for reimbursement, well, who's the wiser? But now that I'm here at the desk signing in, there's just something about this place that prickles my skin. And not just the smell, though the chemical odor is so strong it could strip flesh from bones. To the left of the check-in desk, a carpeted staircase leads to the upper floors, lit by electric lamps and sconces like old-fashioned torches. The dim lighting almost hides the horrible grim streaking the walls, And the even more alarming stains that darken the carpet? Is that black mold? Somewhere an old woman cackles, sings, sobs? Hard to tell. Hopefully not Darlene, though I'd hardly blame her. To the right sprawls a large common area with armchairs and sofas that exhale a puff of mildew-scented air when sat on. Note to self, don't do that again. There's tables with coffee, an old-fashioned jukebox, a chart with a calendar of events. Bingo is on for tomorrow, everyone, and trivia on Wednesday. Don't miss it. The common area actually looks fairly normal. Old folks sitting, chatting, watching television, or sipping their coffee. They all seem pretty bored, but I mean, it's not bingo night. Once I finished signing in, Lolita points me up the stairs. I head up with my carriers, wrinkling my nose. Maybe it's just my own recent experience with hospitals and chemical cleaners that's making my skin crawl. Maybe there's nothing all that unusual about this place, just a soul-sucking feeling of being forgotten. Up here, dusty windows let in pale sun, and the carpet is threadbare and the numbers on the doors faded, but it just seems like any old building. Except for the smell, that rank odor that even the chemicals aren't enough to cover up. A whiff of unwashed flesh, old urine, and something else, something that conjures nightmares of maggot-riddled rotting meat. And then, I'm passing room 203. I notice the door is open, and that inside there is a man in a wheelchair who is visibly dead. I don't mean that he might be dead. No, I mean that I look in at a very old man who is obviously the source of the smell. He sits in a wheelchair, his head lolling to one side, ice blue eyes wide and vacant, and staring in the creepy way dead people's eyes do. I don't even think he just died. I think he's been dead a while, judging by the fluid puddling under his chair. It's surprising he doesn't smell even worse, but that must be all the chemicals that have killed my receptors. The guy looks like he was well over 90, so his kicking the bucket is not so surprising. But what does surprise me is that the staff have just left him here, exactly where, presumably, they must have found him, since he looks several days into decomposition. I guess I could go in and check his pulse to be sure, but also, are you kidding? No way. I do the only sensible thing, which is to report it to the front desk, but if he's been dead for days, shouldn't they already know? Pointedly ignoring the creepy whispers in my mind that tell me something is off about this whole place. Lolita blinks alarmed blue eyes. "Oh my gosh," she exclaims. "Let me call the nurse. Are you sure? You sure he wasn't sleeping? Room 203. He sleeps a lot." "He's 100% dead," I assure her. "Did you check?" "Did I check? Is that my job? Hello, do you think I go walking up to dead bodies checking them?" I watched for a suitably long time to ascertain that he was not blinking or breathing. Yeah, he's dead. "Okay, I'll have the nurse check on him right away." I leave her to summon the nurse and head back upstairs, giving 203 a wide berth, and down the hall to Darlene's room, right at the very end. Knock, then enter. Dust motes dance in the light through the broken window blinds. The woman in the ragged armchair offers a wide smile that lifts years from her face, so that for a moment she almost resembles the vivacious cat lady from her profile, with hokey sequined sweaters and glossy auburn curls. But besides the smile, she is so hauntingly different that I nearly don't recognize her. Her curls have gone greasy and limp, her fingernails black with dirt as she picks at her withered skin. "Oh, you must be Jack. You don't look at all what I expected." Yeah, I get that a lot. As a racially ambiguous Blasian, I look nothing at all like Susan. I say breezily, "I'm adopted. Mom says hi. When did your cat start getting sick?" "Oh, it was..." She trails off, tears welling. "Mickles is already gone." "Oh, I'm so sorry." She's already calling for Prometheus, clicking her tongue and waving a cat treat bag. I step over a spot of vomit when she asks me to check her bedroom closet, which I do, awkwardly making those pss 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 sounds. I've never been a cat person. Dogs are just objectively better. I find Prometheus hidden deep in the closet, orange and fluffy and growling. He bites me when I haul him out. Good-looking guy, I tell Darlene, faking a smile as I shake my bloody hand. She clucks and tells me to get some bandages from the bathroom. Then she offers me tea, but I demur and head for the door, eager to escape the room's stench of cat piss. Then she asks a question that gives me pause. Jack, you're the one who was in a coma, right? Yeah. I'm surprised she remembers that. Did you get the flowers? Yes, thank you. Good, she smiles. You're taking care of yourself? Not making your mother worry too much? Been trying to be better. Good, she nods. She loves you very much, you know. I do know, because I wrote all of Susan's communications and got a kick out of making her everything my real mom isn't. In reality, there's no family in my life. It was Darlene who messaged when I woke up out of my coma, asking Susan for help with a cat rescue. I ended up telling her how my son, Jack, had OD'd and was recovering in the hospital. And then Darlene sends flowers. Actual flowers. To real me. And even if it was under false pretenses, those flowers were the only thing in my hospital room besides the machines. And if you want to know, that's the real reason I'm here now to help her cats. You're a good kid, Jack, she says. I tell her that I'll take good care of Prometheus. She gives me the saddest look, obviously trying not to cry as I take away the only thing she loves in that place. And then I shut the door, and Prometheus yowls like I'm breaking his little kitty heart. And I'm not crying. You're crying. Prometheus continues wailing as I start up the car. Loud, deep, mournful howls that shake his entire body. I know, buddy, I tell him. What a way to go, eh? How does someone so loving and lively wind up trapped and abandoned in such a dismal room? I'm about to start the car, but now I'm thinking again about that resident up in 203. The guy in the wheelchair. Did the staff ever check on him? Not my circus, not my monkeys. I set the car in reverse. But then, I drop my head back against the headrest. Sigh. Remember how it feels to be dying alone, hooked up to machines, with no one caring. Getting those flowers. Prometheus howls. If I could translate those howls, they would be alone, alone, alone. Screw me. Back out of the car, already regretting this. Slam door. Already hating every life choice that led me here. Stride back to the front entrance. My phone doesn't get cell reception out here. Of course it doesn't. And the spotty Wi-Fi can make video calls, but not regular cell network ones. Fine. I'll call the cops once I'm back on the road. But I should make sure he's actually dead, so I don't get accused of being a prankster. To get help for Darlene and other residents, I need evidence. Back through the double doors. Screw me. Screw me. I'll just get a few pictures, make a report, and keep myself out of it as much as possible. Fake. Contact info. No follow-up questions, please and thank you. Lolita at the front desk smiles and asks if I forgot something. I tell her I need to ask Darlene about Prometheus's diet. Then I add, Hey, did you check that resident in 203? Oh, yeah, he's fine. Really? Uh-huh. Seeing my eyebrows arch toward my hairline, she adds, Gerard just needed to be changed. That's probably the puddle you noticed. He has kind of a mean stare and can look spooky, but he's more bark than bite. He didn't look spooky. He looked dead. He's just old. She shrugs apologetically. Uh-huh. And my real name's Susan. I give her my biggest smile and say, That's a relief. Whew. Guess I'm just not used to old people. Or dead people. Which he is, Lolita. She waves me off and I head upstairs, every nerve tingling at that familiar, rotting odor that clings to my clothes. I pause at the door to 203, which is now closed. Glance up and down the hall, eavesdrop for a moment, no sounds. I turn the knob and it is not locked. I swing it open slowly and peer inside. There is no light in the room except for the illumination from the open door, and I almost scream because the beam falls squarely on two pinpricks of ice blue, staring vacantly out from the darkness. Jack, have you gone clinically insane? Why the hell are staff here telling you this old man is alive when he's obviously decomposing? What is going on at this care home? I do not wish to know the answers to any of these questions. It would be great to have somebody brave, somebody like, maybe, say, some boys and girls in blue with lights and sirens and guns come bursting in and wheel out poor Gerard. Maybe with hazmat suits, because what is that stuff leaking under him? That is not him messing himself. That is him. He is liquefying and... Whoa! What am I still doing here? Camera. Hurry the hell up, Jack. Camera. Before someone notices. Light. Light. I tap the light switch. It doesn't work. Of course it doesn't. Why would it? Maybe I need to get the lamp cord. I step over, pull the cord on the lamp on the small table in the cluttered room with all its old person stuff. A warm, fuzzy yellow light illuminates a maggot wriggling in Gerard's left eye, and I gag, holding my shirt over my nose with my eyes watering and stomach bucking. Close the door so no one in the hall notices me, effectively entrapping me in here with this corpse. Great. Just great. And then I get out my phone. Open the camera app. Creak. Ice claws up my spine. I look over my shoulder and... What the hell? I whispered. Was Gerard's chair facing me before? Did he just move? No. No. Screw you, Gerard. Can a dead body move? Oh, hell, I whisper, every muscle taut. Still, I aim the camera at him and snap pictures. Gerard, the room, a syringe somewhere in the corner for medicine, probably, or poison, who knows. Just get the evidence so the cops come and then get out. Jack, get out of here in the next 3 seconds and run and never come back. I've got the photos, but shouldn't you, says a small inner voice that I hate right now, check that he's actually dead? No. To hell with you, voice. I don't need to check. But of course, the clever inner voice that is always thinking ahead knows that if the cops come and he's alive, they won't believe me about Darlene. And everything in me is screaming that this is a terrible idea, but I inch closer, hovering my hand over his nostrils because if he's breathing, I'll know he's alive, and in this dim light of the lamp, I just can't tell. 1, 2, 3, 5, 10, 20 seconds, no breath. I reach to check the pulse of his neck. His hand shoots out, grabbing my wrist. I scream, not a manly scream either, a high-pitched, terrified, totally lost it little girl shriek. I swear to God my soul leaves my body. And then I jerk back, harder than I intend, and his grip is stronger than I expect. With the result, I actually yank him right out of his chair and onto the floor. I wrench my arm free and scramble back toward the door, and Gerard's head snaps up, that maggot falling out of his melting left eye. Oh God. And there's a strange pale light in his pupils, and he lunges, crawling with inhuman speed toward me. Hell! I bolt out of the door, slamming it shut, and hold it. I think I might have pissed myself. I sink against it, hyperventilating, and inside hear creaking as he gets back into his wheelchair. Hell. Hello? It is Lolita. Oh, hi, Lolita. Sorry about the piss. Don't mind me. I think I'm about to faint. Hey, I gasp. Are you all right? What's going on? Her pretty forehead knits in concern. Gerard wanted to play tag. What? She opens the door and looks in, and I scramble to the side, ready for him to leap out, and also fully ready to sacrifice her and shove her into him. What? She's clearly braver than I am. From my brief glimpse of the interior, Gerard is back in his wheelchair, and it's as if he's never moved. Lolita smiles and waves. Hi, Gerard. Gerard does not respond. Girl, he dead. He's so dead. She looks at me, looks at my trousers, wrinkles her nose a little. Bathroom is down the hall, she informs me. Yeah, hey, yeah, sorry. Can I ask, is everyone here, sane? I point sort of generally all around and then at her. Are you? Am I sane? She seems amused. Uh-huh. It's a serious question, Lolita. I mean, I think so. You're the one acting strange. Didn't you just come to collect Darlene's cat? Why are you bothering Gerard? You seem kinda easily spooked. I am not easily spooked. Oh, I'm not saying I'm brave. There is no universe in which Jack is a hero. But I have been through enough in my life to have a very keen sense of danger, and only genuinely spooky things spook me. And also, I know when I'm being gaslit. I wrinkle my brow and say, yeah, I guess so. Guess I'll be on my way. Don't forget to sign out, she adds. Then as I'm down the hall, oh, and if you visit again, make sure to always sign in first, all right? The nurses might confuse you for a patient if you forget. Confuse me for a patient? I echo. This just keeps getting better. So, what are they going to do? Sedate me? She giggles. Screw it. I'm out. I'm done. I am out. When I get home, I open up the photos, fully intending to text them to the police and then squint, swear softly under my breath. Every single photo is blurred or blacked out. Every single one. You can't make out any details. Not Gerard's dead face or obviously decaying body or eye maggot or anything. It could be my lens, but I snap a selfie and it comes out clear. Snap a shot of Prometheus yowling, also clear. Turn the lights off and snap several more, all three dim but clear. But everything inside of Harmony Care Home? My skin crawls with that unbearable tingle that happens whenever I'm exposed to something that defies the natural order. The last time I encountered something like this, it put me in a coma. So do the smart thing, Jack. Don't get involved. Darlene isn't family. You don't have family, remember? Gotta look out for number one. But you know who does have family? Darlene. Let them take the risk rescuing her. My inner voice offers cowardly but sensible advice. I find Darlene's granddaughter, Emma, on Instagram. Message her, telling her to get her grandmother out of Harmony Care Home. It's an emergency. She says she'll be out tomorrow. Then I call the police. I tell them I saw a patient assaulted and in need of medical help. His name is Gerard. They need to bring him to the hospital and be wary of the staff. They're covering up whatever's going on there. I spend about an hour making all these calls. And you know what comes of all that? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. The police don't do a damn thing. Darlene's family doesn't pull her out. She's still trapped there, frittering away her last days alone. Nobody visits at Harmony Care Home. I know because I saw the visitor's log. The last name before mine, Darlene Marie Anderson. 2 weeks ago, she wasn't a resident. She was the most recent previous visitor. And unfortunately for both of us, the only person she has who might be able to save her is me. I wake up to a kiss. Now, normally, I'm not too fussy about who I kiss. Ask me about my preferences and I'll tell you. Generally girls, but hey, I'll boink the copy machine if it's warm enough. On this occasion, the smooch is a whiskery one. And hey, not my favorite, but if I'm drunk enough, sometimes I'll be surprised with who I lock lips with. There is no amount of drunkenness, however, that can explain the most fishy surprise that slithers into my mouth, and I scream for 2 reasons. 1, sharing my bed is a cat. I do not own a cat. Number 2, the cat has just French kissed me. And from the way he yowls, like a jilted lover when I fling him, this cat clearly thinks I owe him affection, which is weird since, I repeat, I do not own a cat. The weirdness is compounded by the bowl of kibble I kick over as I stumble to the bathroom to scrub out my mouth, only to find the grit of cat litter under my bare soles. What the hell? Did someone break into my crappy little apartment to give me, check the name tag, Prometheus here? Along with all his cat accoutrements? He rolls his big furry head into my palm when I'm checking his collar. His whole body is vibrating. Okay, buddy. Cute. But how did... Oh. This is the moment I notice I've got messages on my phone from someone named Darlene. Darlene's from my old life, back when I was pulling every scam imaginable from stealing cars to stealing identities. In Darlene's case, I convinced her to send me a bunch of money to help me rescue cats who didn't exist. And based on these texts, Darlene reached out 3 days ago asking me for help getting Prometheus here to the vet. And apparently, I, Jack the catfisher, decided to actually become Jack the cat rescuer. Yep, con man with a heart of gold, that's me. And, okay, looks like I did inflate the vet bill a little to turn a profit on the reimbursement. Old habits, am I right? Anyway, I'm not sure why I kept her cat for 3 days, but this fluffy guy is clearly catching feelings, so it's time to take him back to her at Harmony Home Care. It's not until I crest the hill and come in view of the massive brick building covered in vines that a tingle of déjà vu creeps into my bones. Prometheus, in the carrier next to me, has gone quiet. Dead quiet. When I look in, there is no cat. I squint, angling to peer through the grated door. He has crouched himself as flat as he possibly can. A pancake cat. Nothing but an orange rug and 2 wide and utterly terrified eyes. Huh. I step out of the car. Weird how in my memory this place has a warm and happy glow. Pastels and floral patterns and a smiling Darlene in a hokey sequin sweater, like on her cat rescue Instagram. But now that I'm actually here beneath the faded sign, Harmony Care Home, caring, compassionate, harmonious senior living. Painted yellow daisies dot the border, the paint peeling and curling like dead skin, while streaks of black grime render the slogan nearly illegible. The massive brick institution looming just beyond looks more haunted mansion than senior living center, with vines strangling the crumbling walls and one wing at the brink of collapse, its bricks charred and windows shattered. I check my GPS. Below the Google map, the reviews rave. 5 stars, 11 out of 10. Bingo night. Were the reviewers writing about this same place? A chill sinks into my marrow as I note the address. Checking the mileage reveals I've done the long drive out here multiple times. When I open the Notes app on my phone, I discover that I have literal reams of research about Harmony Care Home. Very disconcerting research about abused patients, bodies improperly disposed of, and stranger, more disturbing claims, most of which I find in pics I've taken of a logbook by a nurse named Kendra Jones. Stuff like Room 201, Bernadette Smythe, deceased 8/31. Death expected given her terminal condition, but staff insist she is alive. I have been instructed to continue administering medications. The pills pile up in her throat. Room 306. Sobs and pleas for help behind the door. Have knocked and inquired if anyone needs help. No response, but the cries persist. Checked records. There is no resident in 306. Room 358. Jacob Mortimer, deceased. However, when mortuary workers arrive to claim body went missing. Body has since reappeared in different locations. Bathrooms, commons area. Checked records. Jacob Mortimer, listed as living. Whereabouts currently unknown. According to my notes, Kendra was dismissed from her position on October 19th due to unprofessional behavior. October 20th, she checked into room 306 as a resident, and as of the past several weeks, she's been listed as a missing person. Okay, between my amnesia and the research, this is all sounding fishier than Prometheus's morning breath. The kind of fishy that past experience has taught me better than to mess with. And yet, here I am, clearly messing. Given a series of personal instructions I've written to myself. Stuff like, Jack, write everything before you forget. Don't bother with photos. Camera only records audio. If Darlene's family and the cops are affected by whatever mucked with my memory, no wonder this place is still running despite the egregious violations. I see from my call history that I have contacted the police twice in the past 3 days. My last set of instructions, underlined and bolded and dated for today, reads: 1. Keep your phone recording. 2. Find a way to break the illusion. 3. Get Darlene out. I'm sorry, only family may visit, says Lolita, the pretty blonde staffer at the check-in desk. I try to tell her I'm here with Darlene's cat, hoisting up the carrier with its terrified occupant, but she interrupts me to inform me I am not welcome after my previous visits, claiming I went poking into residents' rooms and that items have gone missing. Her fingers stray toward the phone. Okay, I raise a hand in surrender. But can I at least use the restroom since it was such a long drive? Lolita looks dubious but points me down the hallway. Thanks, Lolita. As I start down the hall with Prometheus, I glance back over my shoulder to the wide-open common area, packed with old folks milling around, the air thick with that stale nursing home smell. Everything from the clatter of coffee cups to the inaudible chatter seems pretty ordinary. But I can't shake the dread curdling in my belly like spoiled food, a deep, soul-shaking sense of wrongness. As I pass a bookcase with a vase full of dusty silk flowers, I can remember the color of the flowers, but I'm struggling to bring to mind the actual events of my earlier visits. Lolita's probably not lying about things going missing. I've been known to have sticky fingers. But why can't I remember? I debate trying to sneak up the staircase to Darlene's room, but since I feel Lolita's blue eyes on me, I duck into the men's room. The moment I push open the door, a horrific stink rolls over me. It's this ghastly reek of crap and piss and Febreze, all mingling with the buzzing of flies and a whiff of something fetid. Did someone forget to clean the toilet? There's a urinal and a single handicapped stall. I gag and hold my nose as I set Prometheus's carrier down by the sink. When I push the stall door, it's locked. Risk a glance down and yep, someone's in there with trousers around their legs. Only a chill crawls from the roots of my scalp to the base of my spine. At the bottom of the filth-spattered porcelain throne, flies buzz around bare feet. It looks as if all the blood is pooled down there around the ankles. The skin bloated and splitting like an overripe fruit. The toenails black, and it's like Gerard all over again. The memories come tumbling back. It seems as if the toilet's occupant died in there, and has been left decomposing for several days. For a second, my thoughts spin on the fight, flight, or freeze dial. It takes a few moments for my racing heart to settle. I take a picture before remembering it's pointless. Yep, it comes out black. Are the residents actually alive? Should I investigate this guy in the toilet? No? Yeah, I'm not sure where that thought came from. I turn to leave. Hey, calls a voice from the stall. The hairs on my nape stand on end. Yeah? I glance over my shoulder. Are you okay in there? Can you hand me a fresh roll? I'm out. There's a toilet paper roll on a shelf, which I grab, squat down and look at the space beneath the stall. The legs have not moved. Nothing has moved. There's no hand dropping down by those legs to reach for the paper, and I have never seen legs that shade of purple, that splotchy, on any living human being. The voice again. Can you hand me the TP? I mean, bro. I narrow my eyes at the stall, and then roll the paper so it bounces across the floor and perfectly bumps into those purple legs. What you gonna do, dead guy, maybe ghost? Nothing happens. The man on the toilet seems 100% dead. No sounds at all, except for the buzzing flies. I move to leave. There's a figure looming behind me. Ah! I scream, but it's just an old man, one of the residents who ignores me and walks right by and goes to the urinal. Then there's the sound of a toilet flushing from inside the stall, rustling in the slap of bare feet. Why is the dead guy barefoot? The metallic bang of the lock sliding open. I scurry out before the owner of those blotchy legs can thank me for the TP. Lolita's no longer at the front desk, so I swing round to the staircase to head up to Darlene on the second floor. She'll be so glad to see me. Oh no. I forgot the cat. Of course he's gone when I return to the men's room. Of course. Now, before you berate me over such a rookie mistake, listen, I'd like to see you access the higher functions of your brain when only a wobbly stall door separates you from a putrefying corpse that has just clicked the lock open and is shambling on its rotten bare feet toward you. Which I actually believe now was a trick, because when I play back the recording from the encounter on my phone, there is no voice, nor any flushing toilet or clicking lock. And when I look in there for Prometheus, the corpse is still on the porcelain throne as if having never shambled. Dang it. Losing Prometheus feels like the worst mistake of my life. And that's saying a lot because I have made so many mistakes in my life. There was that time during COVID when I sold reusable N95 masks that were neither reusable nor N95s. Or that other time I collected donations for disaster relief. Or, you know what? You probably don't need a whole list. It's enough for you to know that, karmically, I'm likely to return as a cockroach. And it's because of all of these mistakes that at the time seemed a way to make a quick buck. Among other things, I scammed on innocent, sweet older lady named Darlene out of her savings to rescue fake cats. But I also helped her rescue her real cat, and am hoping to rescue her. And on some level, it's like, if I can make up for the bad stuff I've done to the one person, if I can do this one good thing, maybe I won't come back as a cockroach? Irrational? I mean, yeah, obviously. But however badly you think of me now, and that list of mistakes was pretty incomplete, not gonna lie, you're about to think a whole lot worse. See, none of my previous mistakes hold a candle to the one I'm about to make. Oh, telling a lie here would be so much better. Heck, with the amnesia, I might even believe it myself. How about it, Jack? Want to wake up tomorrow and like yourself? Want to look in the mirror and see a guy who's made good choices? Ah, who am I kidding? I'd never fall for that. Besides, if I'm gonna go making some big mess up, the least I can do is own it. So, what is this mistake, you ask? It all starts when one of us, Lolita or me, I can't remember which, calls the police. This happens after I've escalated by threatening Lolita that I will burn this crap hole to the ground if she doesn't return my cat. She replies with big scared eyes that if I don't calm down, she'll have to summon the nurse to escort me to a quiet room to lie down until I feel better. Her comment sends my heart rat-a-tat-tat-tang like a machine gun, and even though I know that I'm just one sedative away from having my name shuffled from the visitor to the resident list, oh man, I am a mess. I'm not even on anything, but I feel like I'm all cracked out and I cannot bring myself down. Fortunately for me, the cops show up before the nurses do. Lolita tearfully tells the police I'm harassing the residents, and I tell them there's a guy on the toilet who's unresponsive. The unresponsive park piques their concern, and I lead them to the men's room, all the while explaining the research I've collected about Harmony Care Home, including Kendra's log and the missing person report. As before, the smell just about knocks me over. I cover my nose, and the two officers, a man and a woman, wrinkle up their faces. Flies buzz, wings whirring, the air reeking of methane. The male cop, whose name is Fitzroy, clears his throat and says, Sir, are you all right in there? Silence. Sir, repeats Fitzroy. Flies. Purple legs. It's all there. Even the toilet paper is still in the exact same position rolled against those legs. Sir. Officer Fitzroy knocks on the stall door. It swings inward. Apparently it wasn't locked very well. He pokes his head in, then quickly ducks out. Sorry, sir, he babbles, grinning sheepishly. We had reports that you might be in some trouble. Are you okay in there? Cocks his head, listening, and I check my phone to make sure I am recording. Officer Fitzroy's head nods and he says, You got it, sir. Sorry for the disturbance. Gives me a hard look and motions me to follow him out. Reprimands me while his partner goes to speak with Lolita. I play the recording back for him, pointing out how there's only his voice and nothing from the unresponsive guy. But he just says the microphone didn't pick it up because the guy in the toilet was too far away. Only I'm not listening anymore because right there on the recording, just after Officer Fitzroy says sorry for the disturbance, there comes a soft and pitiful mew, almost inaudible. My gaze drifts to the front desk, to Lolita babbling to the female officer, and her eyes meet mine, and her lips curl up in a smile, and, oh, I lose it. All terror washes away. And in that void where the fear used to be is only a desire to blow everything up. Even if I kamikaze myself in the process, and while normally I am both hopelessly self-centered and shamelessly prone to self-preservation, read cowardly, it doesn't matter anymore how reckless I'm being, because I'm going to make them pay. Now, right now, I'm going to break the illusion. I've only got a few minutes before the police finish up their conversation with Lolita, and once they're gone, so is my chance to return a spotlight on the horrors of Harmony Care Home. Back in the men's room, I push the stall door, but it jingles futilely, locked. I drop down to peer under the stall, body still there, as before. Tangling with something like this, without really knowing how it operates, is an easy way to end up dead, or in my previous case, in a coma. And I haven't made a complete study of this place, nor do I have the confidence that I know its rules. Even so, I can think of two plausible ways to break the illusion. One is to have the resident attack me, and the police intervene. My hunch is that touch, much more than sight or sound, reveals the truth. That the illusion is mostly for our eyes and ears. The cop already reacts to the smell, after all, and if Officer Fitzroy grabs a rotting corpse during a physical altercation, he'll probably notice the rotting. The other option is Harmony Care Home's influence has a limited range. The interference with my cell phone, for example, only extends about 1,000 feet from the building. So what happens if I bring a resident, or a piece of one, outside the bounds of the care home? I bet if I sent a tow from dead legs here to the cops for forensic analysis, the results would be interesting. Might draw attention to Harmony Care Home. It would be hard for it to stay running then, wouldn't it? The only reason it's still operating is because it's in the authorities' blind spot. I slip a knife out of my pocket and reach under the stall, heart slamming my ribs like a sledgehammer as I growl, "Give me back my cat." My skin is cold and slick, like a slab of meat under my grip. Oh my god, the smell! Gagging through the sleeve held over my nose, I slide my knife across that splitting purple foot, press the blade into the toe, and it squelches in congealed liquid spurts. A hand shoots out and grabs my wrist. And even knowing this would happen, inevitable, right? Still, I shriek and drop my knife. No! Grabbing that arm and trying to pry myself loose, and then to my horror, it yanks me under the stall. No, no, no! What's going on here? Booms a voice. And oh god, I have never been more grateful for the popo as I'm slammed up against the tile. The thing on the toilet reaching with its other hand for my neck and... good gracious, its face! The eyes and lips are gone. Its sockets all flies and maggots and liquefying flesh. On its wrist is a bracelet in alphabet letters, like the sort of gift a grandchild might make for their aging relative, spelling Jacob. And I'm pretty sure it's Jacob Mortimer who has me choking under the grip of his rotting fingers. And then Officer Fitzroy is barking, "Let him go! Let him go, now!" And then I'm being lifted, my vision blackening. I don't even feel myself fly through the air, just the impact as I hit the wall, and my head rings with a bang. Gunshots? I'm not even certain. But on the officer's face is horror, sheer horror, and he's shouting, "What the hell? What the hell?" and unloading the entire clip into that body on the toilet. Because the illusion is broken. He sees it now. He sees it. And then Jacob Mortimer lunges forward, grabbing him and jamming fingers into his eyes, and oh my goodness. I'm screaming and screaming, and then I'm scrambling out of the toilet and into the hall and pounding down the hallway to the lobby. The second officer, the woman, draws her weapons and radios for backup, and then rushes to the toilet. Lolita stands at the front desk with her lips in an O of shock, hand to her mouth. I think I'm crying. I did not mean to get that officer killed. I did not. I did not. I can't even breathe. Oh, Jack, breathe. And then, as I'm finally catching my breath, Cop Lady comes out and her face is serene, like she's relieved, and even laughing a little as she radios and tells the others to forget it. Jimmy, Officer Fitzroy, is fine. False alarm. It's that same guy and his pranks again. Ran in there and screamed, apparently, and Jimmy thought it was an emergency and rushed in to save him. Am I still recording? Record everything. She comes over and gives me a stern talking to, warning me about how pulling any further stunts like this will be risking arrest, and that I need to leave these old folks alone. I don't answer, just stare, gasping. And finally, a last-ditch effort, I ask, "Can I speak with Officer Fitzroy?" I tell her I want to make a statement to him. She smirks and shakes her head and goes back and enters the men's room again, and I hear her call out to Fitzroy that Jack guy wants to speak with you. I'll be in the car. Keep recording, Jack. And then she leaves. She goes out to her squad car. When my heart finally stops racing, a sing-song voice calls out to me from the front desk. "Which one do you want?" Huh? The horror in my soul deepens. The dread suffusing my body so I can scarcely breathe, scarcely hear her impossible next words. "Which one do you want back? The cat? Or the cop?" Which do I... Oh no. Oh no. I stare at her and can feel myself disassociating. My brain can't process. How can I make a choice like that? How can there be a choice like that? The cat, I whisper. I can't explain, but he's the one thing Darlene loves, and I brought him into danger, and the police? They've sworn to serve, but the cat's just a cat, and I was responsible for him. Oh man, I am such a bad person. Such a horrible, awful, terrible person. Outside, the cop car pulls out of the parking lot and drives away. She just left? Without her partner? Lolita beams at me, and I scrub the tears from my face and get up and stumble into the men's room to see what has become of Officer Fitzroy. Jacob Mortimer's body is gone. There is no one in the stall. My knife is gone from the floor. I find it when my eyes sweep the bathroom. It's there, in Officer Fitzroy. His body lies against the wall, mouth open in a scream of horror, face contorted in fear, the knife handle sticking out of his mouth and through his throat. I clap a hand across my lips, step back from the door. But then that inner voice whispers, "Jack, the knife has your prints." So I grab it by the handle and have to hold his skull to wrench it out. "Excuse me, officer," I mumble, and hear someone giggling nearby, and whoever he is, he sounds really unhinged. From behind me, a faint mew. I snatch up Prometheus's carrier. Back at the car, open the carrier to check him over. Big guy is fine, traumatized, but fine. Squirms when I hug him too hard. "You lucky little guy," I whispered. By any moral measure, the choice I've made is the wrong one. And you know, I don't even like cats, but I'm just so relieved to have him back. Have him and his terrible fishy French kisses. I laugh hysterically, and the fluffy guy throws back his whiskery face and howls. We're both here howling, and I laugh so hard I'm crying. I can't stop. Can't tell which anymore, crying or laughing. But thank God for the amnesia, so tomorrow I can wake up and look at myself in the mirror, and at least until I read this, not know what an idiot I am. There's something about Harmony Care Home that affects the memory, like a veil or a sort of fog, so that when you're here, you think everything is normal, and when you leave, you forget that you came, or if you do remember, have only pleasant recollections. Sunshines, daisies, chatter in the common room around trivia night, or the flaky crust on the meaty pie they serve for dinner. You don't recall the unpleasant parts, like cutting into the pie and wondering what it was you just ate. I've spent a lot of time reaching out to the families about their loved ones. The responses all hit the same note. "He's so happy there. She never wants to leave. It's just so wonderful knowing that our sweet Gran is in good hands." Sweet Gran, by the way, is Bernadette Smythe in room 201. Bern's room is the first one on the right at the top of the stairs, and if you peek in, you'll see her sitting in her rocking chair like a withered raisin, her head thrown back, wispy white hair trailing down her shoulders, wrinkled flesh lost in a faded nightgown. Pills tumble out of her open mouth, her jaw so wide it looks like it's being dislocated, multicolored gels and capsules spilling across her lap and down around her chair, scattering around the floor like Skittles. Yep, good hands. She might be a little over-medicated, though. As a lifelong con artist, I've pulled a lot of shady scams in my life, but I gotta say, none of them hold a candle to the grift that is Harmony Care Home. It operates on the allure of an insidious lie that Gran is happy, cared for, looked after. This isn't particularly original. It's the same lie that all unsavory institutions tell, while senior citizens are being robbed of their life savings, neglected by overworked staff, or forgotten as their blood is sucked dry by bedbugs. At least at most of these institutions, though, there's a morbid upside. Once you're dead, it's over. The final page turned, the curtain dropped. Death being the inevitable end. Except at Harmony Care Home. Right, Bern? Sorry, folks. She can't talk. Her mouth's full. She definitely can move, though. I sometimes hear the crick of her rocking chair. Oh, right. If you haven't guessed yet, I'm a prisoner at Harmony Care Home, making these posts from room 313. It was supposed to be a secret in my first post along with a hidden plea for help. But since you folks in the comments can't keep a secret to save my life... Yeah, thanks by the way. I'm lucky I'm still allowed to use Wi-Fi, though part of the deal is that I now have to write a new 5-star review for every Reddit post. So keep an eye out for those, and don't believe a word I say. The bingo nights are not as great as I make them out to be. Where was I? Alright. I think where I left off was just about to meet Darlene's granddaughter, Emma. When I initially reached out to Emma Anderson, she replied like all families, informing me her grandmother was very happy. It's only after I persisted, telling her about an emergency having to do with her grandmother's cat, that she finally agreed to make the long drive out to Harmony Care Home to meet me. As I remember it, it's all so hazy now. On that sunny autumn day, she pulls into the visitor parking lot in a gleaming electric blue hybrid, the azure sky reflected in the tinted windows. She's kind of a mystery gal. Her Instagram nothing but Korean food and lattes. I've gleaned that she's bougie, adopted, and that's it. So when she swings tanned legs out the door, it's my first glimpse of Emma in the flesh and... Oh, hello. What flesh it is. Emma Anderson is an adorably petite girl who might have stepped off the corner of a K-pop album, her tiny frame all but swallowed in a fluffy white cardigan, the sun winking off her sparkling earrings and carefully manicured nails. When she smiles, it's the coy flicker that makes me wish I'd styled up a bit, because I'm such a scruffy tramp and she's just so chic. We shake hands, her grip lingering in mine as she leans in and asks me to repeat my name. It's Jack, I smile. Funny, she peers at me over her sunglasses. You sure it isn't Susan? Huh? I say. Uh-oh. Nice to finally put a face to the name, Jack. Her grip suddenly squeezes hard. AKA Susan. AKA whatever else you go by when you're not scamming innocent grannies out of their cat rescue funds. I mean, who even does that? Can you possibly get more scummy? Oh, and you can, and I have. Probably should have guessed someone in Darlene's family would wise up to me. Lesson number 1 in why you should never appear in person to your to the good people whose cats we're rescuing here. But since I'm reformed now, I do something that's very rare for me. I tell this girl I just met the actual truth. And if you think about it, it's actually a very sweet story. I mean, here you have Jack, the catfisher, only now turned cat rescuer, scammer no more, and it's all due to the kindness of his former victim, Darlene, who sent him flowers after he OD'd and was recovering alone in the hospital in the midst of an existential crisis. Sure, I'm fudging the chronology a bit, since technically I reformed before she sent me those flowers, but it's still the truth, just rearranged, and it's heartwarming. Isn't it heartwarming? And okay, maybe rescuing Darlene isn't my only goal here. Maybe I learned, through my calls to the families, that the care home has been charging some pretty hefty fees for its services over the years. And where is all that money going? hypothetically, if someone were to scam away some of that cash, would the amnesia cancel out any investigation? Obviously, poking into the financial operations of a paranormal care home is incredibly dangerous. But I mean, if I'm already here trying to rescue Darlene anyway. Emma, though, is not buying what I'm selling. Instead, she's whipping out her phone and announcing, "Everyone, this Jackhole here is the guy who's been collecting donations for cats that, guess what, don't actually exist. Just like Susan doesn't exist, unless you think this scruffy tattooed loser looks like a Susan." I try to interject that Darlene is sick, but Emma won't stop narrating. And finally, I grab her wrist and yell, "Hey!" She gasps. I'm a pretty short guy at just over 5'6", but suddenly I'm aware how tiny she is. Her wrist completely enclosed in my grip, and... oh, this is not a good look. "Let go of me, creep!" "She's dying, Emma." My brain finally sends the signal to my hand to let go, and I back up and explain. "That's why I called you here, okay? Please, let me take you to her. You have to see her. Please." The first flicker of doubt punctures Emma's self-righteousness. "What are you talking about? I was here earlier this week. She was fine. The staff are covering it up, but it's bad. You have to see her." I repeat, and point toward the ivy-covered building looming behind us. "In there." Emma frowns but tucks her phone away. She grumbles something about getting me arrested if I try any funny business, and I warn her that we might get a frosty reception from the front desk if they suspect she's investigating Darlene's care. I suggest we stick to the story that we're here for the cats. I grab a book from my car, a prop to help once we're inside, and the two of us head in through the double doors. Since I'm in the company of a legitimate family member, Lolita asks us to sign in and points us upstairs. Once we've gotten to the second-floor hallway, I hand Emma the book from my car and ask her to take a look, saying, "It'll help prime your mind." But I've switched the dust jacket with chicken soup for the soul. As she examines it, I explain, "Everyone who visits only sees the cover. Seems fine unless you start reading. Even then, depending on which scene it is, you might not notice anything wrong, but keep reading and eventually you'll realize you're in a horror novel." "Cute." Emma hands it back to me. "So is this a metaphor for you? Don't think you're going to distract me from..." "Emma, you're only seeing the dust jacket right now, but in a moment you'll see the truth. It's a good idea for you to record the meeting. Once you see Darlene, you're gonna know what book you're in. Just be ready." As I reach for the knob to her grandmother's room, I pause to turn back to her. And whatever happens in there, keep recording. Darlene Anderson is one of the easiest marks I ever had, falling very quickly for my scams after the first disfigured cat pictures I sent, more than 10 months ago. I stole about $2,000 from her through repeated asks for donations for imaginary vet bills, and while initially I made elaborate mock-ups of receipts, Darlene became such good friends with Susan, my cat lady persona, that by the time karma caught up to me and slammed me into a coma, I'd just send her an ask and she'd throw money my way. This whole relationship says a lot about us, how much I deserve what I'm going through and how much Darlene doesn't. For what it's worth, I'm sorry, Darlene. Here's how I want you to picture her. 57 years young, with luxurious auburn curls and twinkling eyes and just the hokiest cat sweater, with a unicorn pusheen covered in sequins. Imagine her holding her precious brown tabby, Mickles, both of them in ridiculous hats that she knitted herself, and she's headbutting her chin so hard you can almost hear her purr. Got it? Okay, hold that in your mind. Now, with Emma in tow, I swing open the door. The reek of cat piss assails us, mingling with the odors of unwashed flesh and rotting death. The dim room is cluttered with discarded clothes, bags, medicine bottles, and cat vomit encrusting the rug, barely distinguishable from the dark pattern. Darlene sits in a faded armchair by the window, her fingers working at knitting a small woolen cap on dirty knitting needles. Every so often she strokes an object in her lap, a hairy lump that was once a brown tabby. The cat's body is bloated, the stomach stretched like a drum and maggots wriggling in its eyes. Emma's nose wrinkles, but she bursts, "Hi, Grams!" and she steps in to kiss her grandmother's withered cheek. Squeezes a wrinkled hand. "How are you doing, darling?" "Oh, Emma, how nice of you to visit." Darlene coos. What? No. No, none of this is nice. Does Emma really not see? Hey, Darlene. I step forward, big smile. It's Jack. Remember you asked for help with the cats? I'm here to pick up Mickles. Oh, that's right. Darlene's withered fingers caress the brown fur. I don't think he needs the vet anymore. He hasn't been throwing up. Yeah, he looks great. Technically, she's not wrong. He definitely does not need the vet. Even so, I say, bracing myself, better safe than sorry. Then I scoop the dead cat into my arms. Oh, but... Darlene reaches out, distressed. Hey, Emma rounds on me. Give him back. Gladly. I expel the breath I'm holding and let her take him, but I keep one hand on that very dead, very decaying cat, grip her arm and hiss. Look at him, Emma. Really, look at him. Look at Mickles. Is he warm? Look at his eyes. Of course he's... She feels his paws, soft, rotting paws. Touches his stiff whiskers, his face frozen in a grimace, lips pulled back over bare teeth. Her finger grazes one of the larvae wriggling in his eyes. Darlene, behind us from the chair, is crying out in dismay, but I keep my grip on Emma's arm. Suddenly, Emma shudders and drops Mickles. He thuds to the floor. Emma's breathing is hard, her eyes on the phone, which she points at the dead cat as I scoop the body up and give it to Darlene. The old woman cradles that bloated, dead thing to her chest. How? Emma's voice shakes. How did Grams get here? I can't remember how she even came to be here. I told you, it's like a dust jacket over your mind. Caring, compassionate, harmonious senior living? I quote the care home slogan to Emma. That's what it makes you think. Well, this place consumes your loved ones. The same unnatural forces that made Mickles sick are making her sick too, sucking away her life. I study Darlene, softly whispering her love to the dead cat. She looks more like a woman in her 70s than her 50s. Who knows if it's too late to restore her, even if we do get her out. Gonna need a wheelchair, I decide, turning for the door. I really doubt the care home will let us just walk out of here, but we can try. Jack. What? Jack, the cat, says Emma. Her grip on the phone trembles, still trained on her grandmother. He was not sick. Huh? Of course he was sick. Then I look back and realize what Emma is seeing on her screen. The dead cat's fur is darkly stained from several puncture wounds, and I look at the tiny woolen hat in Darlene's lap, resting on the end of those darkly stained needles, ice shooting through my veins. Darlene looks up, her eyes widening at my expression of dawning horror, as if the same appalling revelation is cascading through her too. And then suddenly, the old woman's face contorts in a scream, and she stabs me with her damn knitting needles. Out at my car, I wince as Emma disinfects and cleans the punctures. We couldn't bring out Darlene. As soon as she stabbed me, I'm lucky she didn't hit an artery. Lolita and a couple of nurses burst in and yelled at us, claiming we'd induced a fit and shooing us out because the residents had to be medicated. Afterward, Emma wanted to bust back in and demand her grandmother be released. But those nurses, even if we weren't outnumbered, there's no possible way we could fight the nurses. Besides, even if we'd tried, Darlene obviously wasn't willing to come. Whatever sickened her body also corrupted her mind. And later, when she calmed down, she kept telling Emma over the phone that she wants to stay. So, Emma called the police. It went about how I expected. In the end, the cops threatened to arrest us if we continued to cause a disturbance to the residents and staff, and escorted us away from the premises. It's taken Emma a while to cool off from all of that. I just can't believe. How can they get away with this? She rants as she cleans the puncture wounds in my chest and shoulder. Even now, she's still under the sway of the illusion. Looks at me funny when I tell her the nurses were rotting corpses. That one of them had the ID tag for Kendra Jones, and her eyes were gaping sockets and her teeth were falling out of her decomposing face. Emma knows I'm not lying, yet doesn't quite believe me about the horrors simmering under the surface of reality. The only thing she knows she saw for certain is that her grandmother is severely ill, and that her cat is dead. Finally, she sighs and glumly finishes applying the bandages. You know, You should really go to the hospital. Yeah, and if we lived in a fantasy world where healthcare was free, I would. She frowns, delicate brow wrinkling as if this never would have occurred to her. What are these scars in your chest anyway? Top surgery. Huh? What is... Oh. A light bulb flickers on, then dims. Wait, so you're... But if you're then... What exactly do you have down... Really, Emma? Going right to the personal stuff, huh? But I just smile and say, I'll show you mine if you show me yours. What? No, I'm not. No. Her face goes scarlet and she smacks my shoulder. Ah, damn, I'm not flirting with you. Ow. Come on. If it weren't for me, you wouldn't even know about Darlene. In fact, you won't know, which is why we're going to have to do this. I ask to borrow her phone and then lean in for a selfie, urging, It'll be better if you smile. Emma side-eyes me, gives me the angriest little smile. Oh my god, so cute. And I take a selfie of the pair of us, before setting the pic as her phone's background. This, I explain, along with some calendar alerts and messages I'm sending, should be enough of a trigger to get her here tomorrow. You won't remember what's going on at the care home, but you'll see my picture and be mad about it. And you'll be all, oh, Jack, that terrible, awful scammer, what a jackhole. OMG, gonna expose you. She's glaring at me for the falsetto voice. I don't sound like that. Totally do. But fine, not a bad plan. Why'd you ask me to smile? 'Cause you're cute when you... Ow. God, it's like being stuck in a group project with the class clown. I get down to business. I've got a list here of all the recent residents and visitors. Quickly, I outline the work we'll have to do. Emma's fingers fly across her phone as I spitball ideas. She's already organizing all my jumbled notes into spreadsheets and shared drives. Super overachiever. Definitely a straight-A student. She's wrong about me being the class clown, though. I'm actually the class dropout, which is exactly what she needs right now, because forces like whatever is behind Harmony Care Home do not operate according to the rules she's accustomed to. They have their own, hidden set of rules, and a game you have to figure out before you lose. And Emma's such a good girl, acting as if getting those perfect grades and doing what she's told will mean victory and success. And in her world, sure. Being brought up in a rich family and attending a celebrated university, it's like the rules were made for girls like her. Guy like me, I couldn't even afford the loans. Not that it matters since I also never got my GED. But to win against something like this place, you can't be good. Can't stay inside the lines or just wind up like the police and the relatives, leaving a 5-star review. You've got to be a cheater and a liar. Emma would tell this story the way it happened, but I'm telling it the way I need it to happen. That's a very important distinction you'll understand later, if I can play my cards right. But for now, we're still in the planning stages, and I caution her. Emma, whatever you do not come back here alone. Ever. Got it? Why? She asks. I mean, if we need to learn about the place. You asked me how Darlene became a resident. You don't remember, right? Well, I know how, and it doesn't bode well for us. I know because I've seen the names on the visitor list. I checked them against the resident list and responses from families I reached out to. And if what the family members have told me is true, Lolita does not ask every visitor to sign the log, because I have a bunch of names of family who say they've recently visited, but their names do not appear on the sign-in log. In fact, the most recent visitor to sign in before Darlene is a name all too familiar. Gerard Williamson. Actually, nearly every name on the resident list was originally a visitor, and the only 2 visitors not yet on the resident list, Jack Wilde, Emma Anderson. Signing our names at the check-in desk doesn't mean we're safe. No. It means that we're next. Harmony Care Home was constructed in 1907, originally as an asylum, before being converted to a care home in the 1960s. By the late 70s, it was at the brink of closure after allegations of abuse made national headlines. The original director, Roderick Crane, had an obsessive interest in the occult. One of the advantages of running such an institution, he wrote in his notes, is that he could observe death in all its permutations. Sometimes he would perform rituals around the dying residents. Many of them participated voluntarily, There was a popular movement at the time related to witchcraft, Ouija boards, seances, and spiritualism. But rumors spread that he also had other, less voluntary investigations into the afterlife. There were even whispers of a secret room, accessible only by the elevator or through a hidden staircase in Roderick's office, going down to a sub-basement where arcane rituals were reportedly held, and from which patients only emerged in body bags. Roderick's activities came to an end when a disastrous fire in 1981 killed many residents and staff. Roderick himself disappeared, along with funds that he embezzled, and the care home closed permanently. It has never been officially reopened. Emma threatens me literally every time we meet. We always start in the visitor lot of Harmony Care Home, where she warns me about exposing my past scams. I've taken to videoing her rants and showing her preemptively just so we can get on with things. It usually takes about an hour before she finally remembers me, and even then the shade of skepticism always lingers, the way the stench of death always lingers at Harmony Care. I can't believe I actually found all this stuff. We spend most of our time looking over our notes at a local coffee shop, and it's where we are when Emma squints at her handwriting and throws her hands up. Dang, what else have I forgotten? We hooked up. What? Kidding, I smile. Oh, she's so mad. Probably gonna punch my arm. Ow. How can I even trust working with a guy like you? Generally speaking, you really shouldn't. Yeah, so why are you even helping Grams if you only know her through scamming her? You ask that every time. And? I point her to her own notes, which read, Jack acts like a total jackhole, but you can trust him. He was a bad person, but now he is, in his own words, trying to be a less worse person. Also, you've agreed to not expose all his past scams if he helps you. And if he can help you get Grams out, you've also agreed to pay him $10,000. She squints. Isn't this last line in your handwriting? Yes, but only because I haven't been able to convince you to write it out yet. This arm sure is getting sore from all the times she smacks it. I lean forward. Okay, let's see what we got here. What have we got here? Man, what haven't we got? Property taxes, permits, city and county records, internet and utility records, insurance and vendor contracts, blueprints, missing persons reports, checked against Harmony Care's own records and staff. We even visited the local historical society and library to read crumbling, yellowing letters and manuscripts. That's actually how we found out about Roderick Crane, including an unpublished book he wrote about his activities. It's made for fascinating and disturbing reading. Per Roderick's account, most of his rituals were conducted with the aim of reaching the afterlife, or what he called the other side. He sought the usual sorts of things: power, eternal life, wealth. All of his rituals failed. My speculation is that Roderick went bigger, and the fire in 1981 that destroyed Harmony Care Home was not an accident, but arson. A final grand attempt that at last successfully made contact with the other side. But, after escaping the fire, Roderick fled with his embezzled funds. There's no evidence he further dabbled in the occult or gained any benefit from it. He passed away on June 19, 2002. The place of his demise, Harmony Care Home. It would seem whatever he invited from that other side found him and made him a resident. Instead of gaining awesome power, he just became a meal for it. Emma has been contacting experts who might help us decipher the ritual. Incidentally, gotta admit, all of this research is Emma. When she asked me where I'd looked so far and I replied, Google? She told me I have the academic skills of a 5th grader, which I would have taken offense to if she hadn't immediately started gathering all this stuff. First time I've sincerely regretted my skipped education. Anyway, I'm sure Emma will rock the hell out of that master's in public policy she's going for. We're now drowning in data, and due to the amnesia, it takes us half a day just to know what we already know. The problem is, we still haven't figured out the exact nature of the ritual and whether we can reverse it, and we're running out of time. Just this morning, Emma got a text from her grandmother. Her eyes well up as she shows me. Darlene. Mickles is telling me it's time soon. I love you. I messaged some friends of mine, Emma says, tapping her keys rapidly. Lucas and Aaron, they're big guys. They're going to come help get her out. What's your plan? I ask, fully aware she doesn't have one. She shakes her head. Walk in, sign her out, fight anyone who tries to stop us. That's not a... So come up with a better one, she bursts, hands slamming the table. You're the plan guy. I gave you all this stuff. Gramps can't wait anymore, Jack. She said goodbye. Wiping her eyes, she says, come up with a plan, or I will. So, I come up with a plan. Given that you already know where I'm writing from, room 313 at Harmony Care Home, I don't think I need to tell you it all goes to hell. For the record, I say for the umpteenth time as we wait in the parking lot, huddled against the autumn chill, I think this is a really, really bad idea. Isn't it your idea? Asks one of the big guys. Lucas and Aaron are both muscle-bound tanks, clearly have it bad for Emma, and are way too interested in impressing her to care about any warnings of mine. I might as well be a mosquito whining in their ears. I just have to hope my plan is as good as I promised Emma it is. She's just made the call, the one on which our entire plan hinges, sharing with police the record of Fitzroy's death, which she claimed was taken by her grandmother, a witness, and who also found the knife that was used to stab him. But because Grams is afraid of retaliation, she will only speak at the station. The cops are on their way currently to come collect her and the knife and bring her out of Harmony Care Home. And not a small contingent either. Emma has warned them that her grandmother is afraid of retaliation from Fitzroy's murderer, whom she believes is still at the care home. I'm genuinely curious how Lolita will react to an entire escort of authorities removing one of the residents. And the answer, at first, is cooperatively. When Emma and the rest of us enter with the officers, Lolita points them all up the stairs, as well as to the men's room where the alleged incident took place. From the behavior of both police and Emma's two friends, everyone sees a perfectly happy care home, full of perfectly happy seniors. As Aaron and Lucas help Emma collect Darlene, I linger in the lobby, keeping an eye on Lolita. So far, she's just sitting at the desk, answering questions from the police. When they leave her to speak with other residents, she smiles at me, working at something under her desk. She pulls it up to show me. A stuffed toy parrot, thick yarn sewn over its eyes and around its beak. Cute, huh? What is it? I ask. She blinks. It's a parrot, but this one talks too much, so I closed its eyes. They do that to birds to tame them. Sometimes with hoods, but I didn't have a hood, she beams, adding. It's funny. Don't you think it kind of looks like you? Subtle, Lolita. Huh, I don't get it, I say, just because I'm not going to give her the satisfaction. Also, come on. No way I'd ever be a parrot. I'm a jackdaw, obviously. Way to miss the mark, Lolita, jeez. It's while I'm talking with Lolita that Aaron, or Lucas, comes trotting down the stairs, grabbing a wheelchair from an alcove and wheeling it down a hallway. I almost don't notice, because Lolita is prattling to me about how I'd offer you a room, but someone else already has a claim to you, Jack, and it would be rude for me to take you. Then I hear it. A faint, barely audible ding. The sound of elevator doors. Funny. I've never noticed an elevator before. Of course, there must be one given it's a care home and some patients are wheelchair bound. Not to mention that Emma and I read the history about how they'd use the elevator to bring residents down to the sub-basement where Roderick performed his rituals. Hell. Don't use the elevator! I spring to my feet, dashing down the hallway to where the janky doors are closing. Lolita's prattle was a distraction. I reach the doors just in time to shove my arm through and grasp at Emma's friend. Don't use the... A hand shoves me and I stumble in, collapsing into the wheelchair as Lucas, or Aaron, cries out. I jump to my feet as the doors are closing on us, snarling, "No, no, no!" and jerking my fingers back as the steel nearly shuts on them. The last thing I glimpse through the closing doors is Lolita's wide blue eyes above a pearly-toothed grin. The elevator creaks and sways, I slam my palms against the doors as Emma's friend blinks at me in confusion. The elevator goes down. I feel so stupid, falling for this. Do I have a weapon? No. Am I about to be trapped in the basement of this building to never leave and become the next Gerard? Sure as hell hope not. Crap, I hiss, my intestines winding into knots and every muscle taut as we go down, down, down. To hell, Jack. It's taking you to hell, whispers my terrified brain. Oh no, 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 no. The tingles, like ice chips, rolling down my spine, like a million skittering centipedes. Whatever is down here is tripping my senses so bad. I spam the second floor button while Emma's friend says, "Hey bro, chillax." The elevator shudders to a stop. As the doors jerk open, even Emma's buddy goes silent. The corridor beyond sits swathed in blackness, the kind of blackness so thick you can't breathe. A handful of dusty ceiling lights offer puddles of illumination that barely cut through the dark. At the very end of the hall stands a door, a wide door with strange sigils on its surface, a door that I will never, ever be going through down a darkened hallway that I have no intentions of ever setting foot in no matter how long I have to wait in this elevator. Because behind that door is the reason for the hairs on my entire body standing on end, the skyrocketing of my thrumming heart, and every cell screaming, no, 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 no. The elevator belatedly dings as if to say, "Your floor, sirs." Nope, nuh-uh, no freaking way. Relax, dude. Someone probably called it down here, then took the stairs. Says the guy I decide is named Lucas. He claps a hand on my shoulder and pushes the second floor button. We'll just go back up. Nothing happens, of course. The elevator does not budge. Huh. He looks around. I think it's stuck. There's a small, hysterical part of me that wants to scream. Oh, do you? Do you think it's stuck? But I keep that part hushed as I raise my eyes to the ceiling. What are the odds we can just bust the panels open and climb back up? Judging by how long it took to descend, that'd be a long climb. And I'm not confident we'd be able to pry the doors open on an upper floor if this place doesn't want us. The cops could probably force them open if they knew we were in here, but I try to message Emma. The Wi-Fi doesn't work down here. Show Lucas my phone. He frowns and checks his own phone, but it's no better. Shouldn't there be a stairwell somewhere? He wonders. Yeah, I say reluctantly, recalling the blueprints in my mind. There's a hidden stairwell up to the basement if we go through the door there, but it's at the end of that pitch-black corridor, through Roderick's ritual room. I eyeball Lucas and say, $10 one of us gets sacrificed. Come on then. Lucas steps into the corridor. When I don't immediately follow, he taunts. Need me to hold your hand? Oh, would you? That'd be great. I actually go for it. He pulls his hand back. Bro, don't offer if you don't mean it. Much as I'd definitely rather wait in the elevator, Emma would kill me if I did. So, mutually assured doom it is. R.I.P., Jack. I flick through my notes for anything that might tell me that we might meet in there, even though I know there's nothing on Roderick's manuscript. I skim my early notes, from the first couple days when I barely knew anything, and freeze, heart stomping. Jack, whatever you do, don't use the elevator. There's something in the sub-basement. Lolita calls him the custodian, says he doesn't like the light as he only works the night shift. If you do wind up in the elevator, do not leave. I swivel my head to peer back. Behind us, the elevator remains open, the pitiful overhead lights showing the path back to safety. Lucas shines his phone light on the door and reads, Custodian's closet. No! I lunge and catch his wrist. Don't open it! Ding. We both turn at the same moment as the elevator doors close, and it departs with a janky clang. No! Lucas tells me to take a chill pill, and yanks his wrist free and knocks on the door, while I'm mourning our imminent deaths. The door says Custodian's closet in Lucas's eyes, but that's not what I see. What I see is a series of strange symbols that swim before my watery gaze, and now that horrific sensation returns, like insects marching all along my skin. buzzing from the base of my skull and causing every hair to stand upright, as if I've been electrocuted. I barely hear Lucas's sigh, as he says he might as well try the elevator again since it's working now. And then we both hear it, the creaking as the elevator once again comes down, the lights of the hallway overhead flickering, the soft ding as the doors slide open. Click. The light, closest to the elevator, flickers out, plunging the end of the corridor in blackness. But just for an instant, before it is extinguished, I glimpse a figure emerging from the doors, something too tall to be human, elongated and stretched like taffy as it emerges, and the buzzing in my mind gets louder. "The hell?" whispers Lucas, flickering, then again. Click. The second light is gone. We cannot see any figure at all now, but there's only one light remaining between us and the pitch dark that extends seemingly forever. Whatever that thing is, it's not like Gerard or any of the corpses. It is not even remotely human. There's nowhere to flee but into the custodian's closet. I ram the door open, dragging Lucas with me, barking, "Hurry!" as we squeeze through, and the last light in the hall flickers out behind us, plunging the corridor in perfect pitch. I slam the door, leaning my back against it, and we aim our lights around the ritual room. Lucas inhales sharply. There are no illusions here. He sees what I see, symbols carved into the ceilings and walls, inscribed with a script that seems to be forever flickering and changing under our beams. It's no familiar language, and something about those squiggles is obscene, burning into our eyes and yet impossible to look away from. There's also the smell, a stink of old blood and musty death. His shoes scuff the concrete floor as he shuffles onto a matted and stained rug, muttering, "What the hell?" In the center of the room sits a marble table. Skulls and remains from all manner of humans and animals decorate the shelves, some knitted into strange figures hanging from the ceiling. And if it weren't clear enough what all this is for, a thin volume inscribed with notes and symbols sits open on the table describing a ritual. "The hell kind of place is this?" Lucas whispers, picking up a skull. "Gotta get something to barricade the door." I'm still holding it shut. Lucas obliges, grabbing a bookcase and hauling it over with impressive ease. But even as he blockades the door, the hairs on my neck stand on end again. "Run," shrieks my lizard brain. I whirl and my beam catches on. Something like I've never seen. Like shadow, like hollowed skin, stretched, indescribable. I don't know why I thought it looked like a figure. It's more like those squiggles on the walls. An impossible shape, impossible for the eye to really see. I can't tell you what it looked like, only that it made my mind scream. And the hole where its face should be swallowed me into nightmares. When I regain consciousness, I can't see, and my thoughts are sticky and swirling together, and I smell blood. Underneath me is a padded, creaky chair, a wheelchair. I realize groggily as I try to move. My whole face is numb. I don't know why it's numb. Everything is completely black. I fumble, trying to catch my bearings. Am I still in the sub-basement? Try to feel my way around, only to stub my knee against a table leg. I swear, or would if I could speak, but for some reason all that comes out are inarticulate nasal sounds. There's no noise beyond my own labored, panicky breathing. "Lucas?" I don't hear him. My nasal grunts don't get any response. The fact I can't feel my face is disconcerting when I touch my cheeks, my nose. Is my whole body numb? I'm definitely unsteady, like I've been drugged. I fumble along the table's edge, following the peeling wood. Curving edge, round table, so I'm not in that room anymore. The table in the ritual room was square. My shoes scuff across cheap carpet. The common room? And then my fingers brush against a hand. A hand. A hand, yes, but cold, withered like an old, dead hand. I jerk back, then shakily reach forward again. The withered hand. Knit fabric of a sleeve, loose around the thin forearm. A sweater. I trace the arm, up the bony frame, wisps of hair on a cold skull. I'm feeling a dead body. A long dead body, still clothed, mummified. Where? Why is it so dark? Is it nighttime? Pitch black out? Is there not even moonlight? Are the curtains drawn? I follow the circumference of the table. Find another body. Light. Flimsy shawl over a linen shirt. A skeleton shrink-wrapped in dried skin. This is really gross. I move further along and find another table, low and square. An end table this time. In an old plush chair that, when I push on the cushion, sends a puff of mildew-scented air. Okay, definitely the common room. Where the hell is everybody? What time is it? Trying to shout does no good. My mouth still isn't working. I stumble through the dark, hoping for a wall so I can orient myself. When I bump into a large potted plant, I cuss inwardly, rubbing my knee. The plant is fake and the leaves stiff, dusty fabric. Filthy. I picture the care home. Were the potted plants by the entrance or on the opposite wall? Hey! Emma's voice calls out, along with the creak of a door swinging, then rapid footsteps. She grabs my arm. What are you doing? Where's Lucas? I try to respond, but can't. I can't see Emma. It's only now I'm starting to panic, wondering what has happened to my eyes, my face, my numb face that can't make words. I should have figured it out by now, but my brain is sludge, and I'm trying to tell Emma about the custodian, but I can't. Jack, I don't have time for your games. Would you quit goofing off? The cops didn't find anything. They'll take Graham's statement after she's seen at the hospital. Look, find Lucas. I'm going to drive Graham's. No, don't go, I grunt as her footsteps walk away, and try to follow, but my legs won't cooperate, and I trip and stumble to my knees. After the doors close, it's quiet again. Dead quiet. No chatter from the common room. Without my eyes working, the illusion isn't manifesting. Or maybe it's because of whatever's being done to me. In any case, there's only mummified dead at those tables. And that's all that's ever been there. Every time. I just didn't know it until now. I kneel on the ground, weeping because I'm so frustrated and scared. I can't find my way, and I don't know what's happening, or where Lucas is, or if Emma was real. Did she leave me here? I crawl towards the doors, hoping I haven't got myself turned around. But even if I make my way out, how will I leave? I have my keys, but I can't drive. Not without my sight. I can't speak. How will I communicate what's happening? The whoosh of the doors. Emma's footsteps again, and she exclaims, Jack, what's going on? Where the hell is Lucas, and why are you acting like this? And suddenly it strikes me. She's seeing an illusion. She's seeing the chicken soup dust jacket version of me, just as she is in the rest of this place. She can't see that it's dark in here, that there are only corpses on the tables in the common room, and she responds to someone I can't hear. Oh, it's all right, thanks. No, he doesn't want a room. I'll take him home. Did Lolita just offer to get me a room? Screw you, Lolita. I flip off the general direction of where I think Lolita's desk is, and Emma tells me to stop it and drags me out the doors and says, in a tone that suggests she has figured out something is wrong, What'd they do to you? Where's Lucas? Jack, can you talk? Talk to me. But I can't respond. I can't see where we're going and stumble off the curb and slam into the hood of a car. Ouch. Emma, don't ever be a guide for the blind. You suck at it. The impact rings my skull. I'm still groaning and clutching at my face as Emma gasps and helps me up. I hear her say to somebody, They did something to him. I don't know what. Let's get him to the hospital too. Help me get him in the car. Then I'm hauled into the back of what must be Emma's car, and next to me I hear distressed mumbling that has got to be Darlene, and I definitely smell her. I don't think she's showered since they first brought her in. Or maybe it's her dead cat Mickles. I smell. It sounds like she's still stroking that tiny, rotting body. Do I have to sit here? Kinda prefer the mummified old ladies at the table. I'm kidding. Don't kick me out. Jack, a hand patting my cheek, and Emma says, Hey, we're gonna take you to the hospital and we'll figure out what they gave you. I'm just gonna run in and find Lucas. I seize her wrist. No, do not look for Lucas. Do not. Shake my head vehemently. Jack, I have to find him. I shake my head hard. Why aren't you talking? What's wrong with you? But I know what's wrong with me now, and I put her hands on my face so she can feel the stitches holding shut my lips, my eyes, and a moment later I know the illusion is broken because Emma is screaming and screaming and screaming, and I would be too if my mouth weren't sewn tightly shut. Hey folks, welcome. Glad you could make it. I'm Jack, the new manager at Harmony Care Home, where we are ready to welcome your ailing elders and guarantee a smooth transition to caring, compassionate, harmonious senior living. Sorry, did I italicize harm? That was a typo. I'm here to help you through the process, from application to move-in. Let me give you a tour. If you've been keeping up with my posts, you're already familiar with the chicken soup dust jacket version of Harmony Care Home. And for those who haven't been keeping up, the dust jacket is my clever way of referencing the dual nature of the care home. It's like a Stephen King book, but with a chicken soup to the soul cover thrown on it, so that it seems like the sort of heart-warming story you'd want to read to Grandma as she lives out her last days here. Sorry, did I say heart-warming? That was another typo, lol. Entering the front doors, you'll find yourself in a sunlit lobby leading to the common room with tables full of white-haired seniors and happy chatter. But let's slip that chicken soup dust jacket off now. Let's suppose you are able to see reality. To start with, the moment you enter these doors, there's the stench that wafts to your nostrils, rank and pungent like mildew and old garbage and rotting meat. Putrefaction so potent, not even the chemical cleaners can mask it. Holding your nose while peering out across the dim and empty lobby, you'll notice figures in the common room. If you are brave enough to get closer, you'll be able to distinguish mummified old ladies in floral print dresses and decomposing old men in button-downs and slacks, posing at the tables, playing with cards. The creaking of a wheelchair or the patter of spilled pills might alert you to the arrival of one of the more mobile deceased, Gerard or Byrne. I'll admit, I ran screaming the first few times the living dead approached me, but engaging with the recently departed is actually part of my managerial duties, so these days I stick around for a game of Go Fish. After all, I wouldn't want to get fired. Really wouldn't want to get fired. Incidentally, our numbers are at historic lows, meaning I've got quite the quota to fill. And I've been told if I don't fill it with somebody soon, then that somebody's going to be me. So tell all your friends. I am so looking forward to welcoming you on your visit. But wait a second, Jack. When did you become the manager of Harmony Care Home? Aren't you supposed to be working on a plan to shut down that evil place? Duh! I'm in the middle of said plan right now, obviously. That's why I'm the manager. And as you can tell from my not-so-secret messages about being trapped in room 313, it's all going great. But yes, let's talk about the plan. Part 1, become the manager. Check. Part 2, sneak into the sub-basement and undo the ritual that opened the care home to the other side. Part 2 is obviously the more problematic part. See, now that I'm working here as manager, I am realizing that the only way I'd ever succeed in this mission is if I had the personality of somebody brave. Or maybe somebody who likes Saw movies. Perhaps if I were the type of guy who reads a Stephen King story and says to himself, "You know what would be great? If the children of the corn were real and I could babysit them." I bet a Jack who said that would do great at this mission. But since my favorite color is yellow, my favorite food is chicken, and I have a debilitating medical condition that prevents me from descending stairs because I am spineless, I am not well suited. And speaking of spines, please don't let me return as one of those living dead. If I die here, cremate me. Lord knows I've earned it. I'd show myself out, but as you all know, I'm stuck. Right, so how did I wind up here? Room 313. Let's hop back in time now to the moment I'm attempting to carry out my actual mission. The moment I make my shaky way down the basement stairs in the pitch blackness and everything goes wrong. Oh, also, the lights down here don't work because apparently the bulbs have never been replaced. So I'm navigating by flashlight, as I tiptoe, cursing the debris that crunches under my shoes, making a silent descent impossible. And I want to be silent because I need to listen. At the last step before the bottom, I pause. And I do hear something. A soft shuffle somewhere down the hall. When I shift my flashlight's shaky beam, my heart slams like a sledgehammer into my ribs, because the light catches bare skin. There is an old man down here in the basement, completely and unsettlingly naked. His name is Ronnie, room 224. From his shaking and mumbling, it's clear he is alive, and not one of the living dead. One of the handful of living residents whom the care home feeds on until their minds and bodies decay. Application still open. Arrange your visit today. Behind him, he has left a trail of bloody footprints, fresh red glistening under my light, probably from walking over the broken glass strewn on the floor. He's so far gone, I doubt he'll make it much longer. But I can't leave him here in the basement, especially overnight, so I call. Hey, Ronnie, nice birthday suit. Come on, let's get you back upstairs. His teeth chatter as he rotates his head to look at me. His eyes are sunken and red, cheeks withered and spittle flecking his mouth. He says, "It's coming for you. It's coming for you. It's coming for you." And he raises a trembling finger and points at me. Okay. Very unsettling. Come on, Ronnie. Coming, he says, still shivering as he takes a step toward me, as if to follow me. But then the slap of his feet on the ground stop. I turn back and he is shaking harder. Coming, he repeats, and then goes still. The shaking stops. Here, he growls. That's it. That's all the warning I got before he lunges. I scram, leaping over a wheelchair in the hall, bounding off the wall and tipping the chair over behind me so that Ronnie topples over it and spills face first to the floor. I rush back up the stairs and slam the door. And yeah, I probably shouldn't leave an old man who was still alive down there wandering around on broken glass with his bare soles, leaving bloody footprints all over the place, but also, R.I.P. Ronnie. F. But now let's pause a moment to backtrack because I realize where I left off the previous post. My eyes were stitched up, and I just met the custodian. And though we got Emma's grandmother, Darlene, out, the care home took her friend, Lucas. So let's talk about what happened that day. I can't exactly remember much of the aftermath. The notes I took are in my previous post, but beyond that, all I've really got to go on are some sparse notes jotted by Emma, plus a single video she took in the car en route to the hospital with me, Darlene, and Aaron. Video. A disheveled old woman in a filthy sweater clutches the putrid remains of a cat while rocking and babbling. Take me back! Take me back! Take me back! The camera wobbles, and Emma's voice narrates over the rumbling of the car engine. Hope Grams recovers, but we don't know if the effects are permanent. We had to leave Lucas behind, and this happened to Jack. The camera pans, and the shaky frame, a scruffy guy in a hoodie, face caked with blood from the stitches on his eyes and mouth. Jack, does it hurt? Are you going to be okay? The man in the hoodie spreads his hands and shrugs. Doesn't hurt. I don't know. I hope so. The man makes a finger gun gesture. You got it. Watching this clip, it's impossible to tell if video Jack's jokey behavior is because he is less horrified than everyone else, since he cannot see his own face, or if he's just pretending. But I have a second video on my phone that I took later, and never showed Emma. In this second clip, I'm in the hospital after the stitches have been removed, and I'm touching the skin beneath my eyes, whispering in a panicky voice. Thank goodness, thank goodness, thank goodness. Presumably because I can still see. And the Jack in this video is not turning his mangled face into jokes. His eyes are wide in fear, and the camera is shaking, and he's right at the brink of tears. And that's the Jack who has written every post for you, barricaded in room 313 while trying to sneak out secret messages. I'm telling you this so you understand. This video recap is all you're gonna get of the elusive thing called honesty. I lie. I lie a lot. It's a coping mechanism and a survival mechanism, and I'm doing it more in this post than ever before. So, We reported Lucas missing to the authorities, but of course the cops never followed up on their investigation into the care home. In fact, it wasn't until several days after the raid, while Darlene was under observation at the hospital and I was home healing from my stitches, that Emma learned of Lucas's fate. She did this by ringing the care home's front desk. We'd called before, only to reach the answering machine, or the raspy female voice of a resident named Queenie, always trying to entice us into visiting. But this time a male voice on the other end politely said, "Harmony Care Home, how may we serve you today?" "Lucas?" Emma gasped. There was a pause and the line went dead, but it was already him, she told me later. His voice. Lucas was alive and working at Harmony Care Home. He thinks he's been working there for months, that it's his job, Emma explains to me 2 days later. She's just gotten off the phone with a mutual friend of theirs, Minji, who called the care home and spoke at length with Lucas. According to Minji, Lucas sounded and acted normal, save for the fact he insisted he'd been employed at Harmony Care Home for months, and when Minji worriedly asked him about his actual job as a firefighter, he hung up on her. "And let me guess, they offer great benefits and a fabulous retirement plan," I say. "It's not funny, Jack. Getting him out is going to be as dangerous as getting Darlene out was." I'm reviewing our notes, something I have to do every day because we're both still affected by the amnesia. Every morning we wake clueless about each other and our mission until we find notes and video messages recapping our prior days, so that by the time we meet each morning, at my place since Emma likes to check in on Prometheus, we each feel like we've watched short films of each other's lives. It's awkward, but I've always got vegan sausages and oat milk in my fridge for Emma, and she always brings me a caramel latte and bagel. And even though we meet as strangers, we can read each other with an intimate familiarity. It's weird how the care home brings us together, but drives us apart. We need to find a way to reverse the ritual, I say, while my brain ponders the beginnings of the idea that will be my doom. "Yeah, but it'll never happen, Jack. Everything I've read says the same thing. To invite or uninvite the entity, we need to know its name, or the name Roderick used for it, and we didn't write it down." She slaps a hand on the stack of papers, letters, books, and various research materials scattered over the table. She's right that we've been through Roderick's writings, even a collection of short stories he penned that I suspect is a fictionalized account of his actual experiments. We've scoured everything down to his postcards, and nothing about the custodian, by that or any other name, but there is a place we haven't searched. If we play our cards right, we can use Lucas where he is. I look up at Emma. He can search the care home. Oh my God, do you hear yourself? Lucas will be safe, at least for a while. How do you know that? Because the care home needs him. I pull up our spreadsheet on the care home's visitors, residents, and staff. Harmony Care Home's current situation is actually pretty precarious because the previous nurse, Kendra Jones, was retired after she saw through the illusions. Her manager, a woman named Felicia Singh, stayed late one evening and had a run-in with the custodian. This means Harmony Care lost both its manager and its only on-staff nurse at the same time, leaving no one to maintain its operations. Lolita is there, of course, but she can't answer the phones or work the computer. We discovered when her voice didn't show up in recordings that she's part of the illusion, and while the care home may be supernatural, it operates in the physical world and requires living people to manage those operations. The number of residents has been dwindling. Currently, they are down to 5, and since the average length of stay between check-in and check-out, well, there's no check-out, but you get the idea, is 6 weeks, and several residents are near the end of that. They're in a serious crisis. Simply put, Lolita cannot afford to harm Lucas. She needs him to be the face of Harmony Care Home until she builds recruitment back up. We'll never have a better opportunity to find the name, I tell Emma, so she agrees. But it's futile. Not because Lucas refuses to help. He genuinely tries, once we get him on the phone and congratulate him on his new job. No, the problem is he's stuck in the illusion. On the phone with Emma, he shares gossip about the dead residents. He even shouts, apologizing for the racket behind him. It's bingo night and everyone's yelling, while Emma and I hear only dead silence beyond his own voice. He only sees the dust jacket. No, we need someone who can break the illusion, who knows exactly what to search for and has enough prior paranormal experience to identify when they found it. In short, it has to be me. Zed. After shutting Ronnie in the basement stairwell, I have only one other means of reaching the ritual room: the elevator. I've searched everywhere else in the care home over the past few days, including Roderick's office, which is now the manager's suite, and no trace of the name. Based on Roderick's notes, it is most likely to be among the symbols and script on the walls and ceiling in the ritual room. But if I enter that elevator, I'll have no means of escape should I encounter the custodian on the way down. From somewhere below, Ronnie wails, sparking an idea. The night-shifted Harmony Care Home is stark, lonely and silent. There is no illusion. The dust jacket comes off and Lolita and her cohort of undead nurses cease operations. All residents and staff return to their rooms to sequester for the night. Sometimes after dark, the custodian appears. Any living being encountering the custodian at this time will be cleaned up, the body drained of life essence or converted into a dead puppet for Lolita to control when she reappears with the illusion the next day. Shuffling around the basement corridor, Ronnie is still living, the perfect unfortunate bait for the custodian, while I take the elevator down to the ritual room. But I'll need to get the timing right. I switch on 3 of the lights, near the reception desk, in the common room, and near the basement stairwell, and then I conceal myself behind a chair in the shadowed corner of the lobby. Ding! The swish of the elevator doors. I strain my eyes. In the dim, I see only a tall shape, a sort of rippling figure, almost like a person distorted through a filter and stretched floor to ceiling. There's a tingle like spiders on my skin, and then the light in the reception area flickers out, plunging the lobby into pitch. About 30 seconds later, the light in the common room goes out, and then, finally, the light nearest the basement stairwell. As the entire main floor plunges into darkness, I scuttle soundlessly to the elevator bay, where the doors are still open, press the button for the sub-basement, and with a shudder, the janky old doors close and the elevator creaks and descends. Down, down. Somewhere, Ronnie screams. Ding. I hurry to the door of the ritual room, push it open. Hi, Jack. Lolita grins at me. Blue eyes, bright and glowing. I've never seen her at night before, and she casts an eerie illumination. Even as she greets me, something spider-like shimmies across the ceiling, and another figure lunges from the floor. Kendra Jones and another nurse. They grab me and drag me to the table, slamming me to the center amid all the arcane symbols and writing. Lolita leans her chin on her hand as they strap me down. I really thought catching you would be more of a challenge, but you're so predictable. Then my flesh begins to crawl, as if riddled with millions of spiders, and a buzzing like electricity sets all my hairs on end. He's coming for you, she croons. Welcome to Harmony Care Home as a resident, Jack. I hope you enjoy your stay in room 313. E. I don't remember much after that. I only remember looking up at the ceiling, at the name etched there that wriggled in my brain and crawled like static in my skull. And then I was looking into the custodian's face, that hole to some other place where its face should be, and fearing I would forget myself. There's one memory in particular I tried to hold on to, as the static in my mind got louder and louder. One memory I clung to as if I could just keep that one. Maybe I could get through this without entirely losing myself. It's the last evening at my apartment, the night before I'll be going to replace Lucas, and Emma and I go over the plan one final time. She's gotten some pad thai and stir-fried chicken for us to share with beer. It has all the solemnity of a Last Supper. How are you feeling? She asks. Great, I say and take a drink. Are you scared? Nope. Yes. Crapless. Duh. Her brow wrinkles. She shakes her head. She sets her hands on the table and says, No, we can't do this. Not again, I think, and say, What are you talking about? We've been over this again and again. It's a good plan, and even if it's not, it's our only plan. Emma insists. It should be me. Yeah, agreed, but it can't be, so how can you just be okay with this? I sigh and set my beer down. Look, best case scenario, we save Lucas. I embezzle some of that money they're sitting on, you have all your people back, and we shut down Harmony Care Home for good. Worst case, I die. But you'll still have all your people back. You won't even have to remember me, because once the amnesia kicks in, I'll just be that guy that scammed your grandma. What are you so worried about? This seems a sensible argument. I've just explained how she has nothing to lose, but Emma gets so mad at me. She balls up her napkin and bursts. You're so stupid, Jack. Even with all your clever plans, you're so stupid. Then she snatches up her keys and storms out. Doesn't pick up her phone. It goes straight to voicemail. She finally returns several hours later, bangs the door open and tosses her keys on the side table and announces, Jack, I need you to be real with me for 2 minutes. Oh, okay. I very much do not wish to be real. You know, every time I ask you why you're doing this, you'll always put me off with a different answer. Oh, it's for Darlene. Oh, it's for the money. And you'll say stuff like, oh, I'm not a hero. But here you are, ready to sacrifice yourself for Lucas, who you don't even know. Why? Why is this plan so important to you, Jack, that you're willing to risk your life? I sigh. Oh, she means real. Well, crap. I raise 2 fingers. Okay, first reason, there are no other options, and second, I pause, grimacing, honesty is like my kryptonite. Finally admit, okay. This past summer, I made a contract with an entity. I made a bargain that if I could stay out of its grip for 2 weeks, I'd get a bunch of money. And I won. Barely, but had to put myself into a coma. What does that have to do with? So the reason the entity chose me and not some other sap was because I have no strings attached. She could take me out of the world and no one would notice. Just like scraping a barnacle off the underside of a boat. I'm sneering. I can't help myself. Sneering at that barnacle that I know is me. Well, I escaped her. I beat that monster and I lived. And I learned to hate monsters, which is part of the reason I'm going after the care home. I even kept some of that million. Oh yeah, I lied about that. Oops. To anyone who read my previous account, sorry. You didn't really believe me when I said I gave it all away, did you? But she was right. I woke up and there was no one. I mean, I had messages, but 90% of them were from people I'd scammed. The rest were just people I owed, and I need to prove I'm not a barnacle, okay? It's a simple, stupid reason. I have to do something to prove that my life matters. There. Done. I fish around in the sofa for the bottle I keep between the cushions. Classy, I know. Take a sip of this stronger stuff and add, also, Darlene sent me flowers, so, you know, one person. She was the only one. That's why I did it for her. Emma doesn't reply at first, just looks down and balls her hands into fists, finally grumbles. Yeah, well, that's stupid. Obviously your life matters. Does it? I growl. I just want to exit this conversation, which I am going to do through this bottle. Of course it does. Why do you think I got so mad at you earlier? Okay. The warm booze courses down my throat. I fish for the right words to appease her. You're mad that I'm not taking things seriously. It would be a huge weight on your conscience if I died. Every life matters. Oh my god, Jack, you're so freaking dense. And I just look at her, trying to figure out why she keeps blowing up at me. Like, why does she continue to be mad? Seeing my clueless stare, she throws her hands up. And then she leans over and kisses me. It happens so fast, and I blink, shocked at the warmth of her lips on mine. She pulls back to look at me and see if I get it now, and I just say, oh, yeah, I'm an idiot. And then I take her into my arms, and everything ignites. Suddenly, this evening just got so much better. I don't need to forget my fears and insecurities with booze. I can forget it all through sex instead. Just lose myself in the delicious warmth of skin on skin and the brief flickering of being, for a short while, not so completely alone. M. When I arrive at Harmony Care Home the next day, I approach the front desk and tell Lolita I want Lucas out now. Tell her that I am willing to negotiate to be his replacement, that I've got views and more management experience. I've even whipped up a fake resume. And more importantly, I'm the one Lolita really wants. The thorn in her side she wants to punish and make into her puppet. And we both know it. She taps a pen to her mouth. I don't know, Jack. There's etiquette around this kind of thing, and the one who's laid claim to you has first dibs. Not anymore. My voice is cold, and I'm not faking my anger as I growl. I won her game. The contract is over. I'm free to make my own choices. I gesture to the building around us. And I choose Harmony Care Home. She sucks thoughtfully on the tip of her pen and then smiles at me. Done. Just remember, once you sign, you're mine. I'm reaching for the pen to sign the contract, but hesitate when she adds, forever. I glance toward the decomposing husks in the common room, note the presence of Gerard and Byrne, their corpses shuffling around, but it's too late to back out now. I sign. So here we are, folks. You're all caught up with present-day Jack, who has written all of these posts from his laptop in room 313. Sorry if the chronology's a little hazy. I've been relying on my past notes and videos, and it's hard remembering, you know. Almost as if all this stuff happened to someone else in a dream, a very long ago dream. Now, it's all so hazy. To be honest, I probably would have lost motivation to finish this post if Lolita didn't keep telling me it's fine to keep writing, that my friends outside might want to know how I'm doing. Okay, well, I am doing great. Every day I play bingo with the other residents. My best friends are Gerard and Byrne and Ronnie, and yeah, I know they're dead, but I just go with it. Let the illusion wash over me. Forget about reality and sit around the table in the common room and play cards with everyone. As long as I stay in the illusion, things are pretty good. Writing is actually very hard, because then I remember where I am, and it's like a nightmare. A nightmare where everyone's dead and I'm alone. The only person alive, and it's dark and cold and I'm starving, getting sicker and sicker, and my hair is falling out and soon I'll be one of the corpses too. It's such a terrible dream. But then I wake up and breathe in the illusion, and everything is fine. Tonight I'll play bingo and hang with my friends. Such good friends. Soon I'll be just like them. Always happy. I can't wait. Since this is likely to be my last post, Lolita suggested I tack on a review at the end. Sure, I'll happily keep writing reviews if it will help bring in more friends. I like making new friends. I'm an extrovert, so here is the review I made for Lolita, and it's the truest thing I've ever wrote. 5 stars. I'd give it an 11 out of 10 if I could. This place is fantastic. Everyone is friendly, the staff is great. I hope I spend my last days here. And if you want to be happy, to never worry about being looked after, to be comfortable and content, come and join us at Harmony Care Home. Now. Today. We can't wait to meet you. In 1963, a beautiful young blonde stepped into the office of Roderick Crane. Roderick was handsome, intelligent, and mesmerizing, and the young Lolita Carmichael fell deeply under his sway. Whether she had sadistic tendencies before then is a mystery. But what is certain is that by the time Roderick founded Harmony Care Home in 1969, renovating the original building and adding the sub-basement with its special room, Lolita was wholly devoted to his bloody rituals. Residents often reported hearing shrieks overnight, and in the morning, the deceased would be shipped out in body bags for cremation. Some residents reported being brought downstairs, having hot wax dripped onto their skin, or strange words chanted over them in a pitch-dark room. These allegations were dismissed as signs of the patient's dementia. But the allegations persisted, and after one resident was found with maggots dripping out of open wounds, and another fled into the night to die of hypothermia, a flurry of media attention put the care home in the national spotlight. The ensuing outcry brought Harmony Care Home to the brink of closure. Then, on August 16, 1981, the fire began that would ultimately claim over a dozen lives and permanently shutter its doors. Whether Roderick truly intended to use the blaze as a means to complete the ritual, or whether he merely intended to collect on the insurance, is unclear. But what is clear is that Lolita was by now a liability to Roderick. He escaped alone, leaving the building to burn with his former assistant inside. Though, strangely, the fire abated of its own accord shortly after he left. causing mostly cosmetic damage to the building, save for the destroyed south wing. Harmony Care Home sat abandoned for decades. Until 2003, when a woman named Queenie Smith arrived to inspect the property for redevelopment. After discovering a beautiful but comatose blonde with a broken neck in the basement, Queenie fell under the care home's spell, becoming nurse to the young woman. Soon after that, Queenie vanished, her identity and assets taken over by the sleeping blonde in room 333, who by this time was recruiting more staff and residents. The rest, as they say, is history. As for the future, Harmony Care Home has been slowly accumulating funds, with a plan for total renovation and a grand reopening to attract an influx of new residents. But the care home was hit hard by the sudden consecutive losses of its head nurse and manager. It was around this time that a con man came along. Hey folks, Jack here. I had to play a trick with my last post, sorry about that, but I figured if you were fooled, I knew for sure she was, so let's unpack my lies. The truth is, becoming a resident was always the plan. There was just no way I was going to get in that ritual room and see the name carved on the ceiling without being converted. But I had to make it look like I was trying, even if I was mostly just trying not to crap my pants. Can't tell you how genuinely terrifying all that creeping around in the dark was. I wasn't lying about that. Obviously, I avoided mentioning Lolita's history before this post. I investigated her right at the outset, but it was imperative she think I dismissed her, so I tried to keep her relegated to the role of creepy ghost secretary. Also, there's one very important thing I neglected to tell you at all. It happened when Lucas and I first encountered the custodian in the ritual room. Remember I mentioned a book on the table? What I didn't mention to you is that I actually tore most of the pages from that book and hid them and brought them out with me. Those moments down in that dim corridor with the lights flickering off were truly the most terrifying I've ever experienced. But if it hadn't been for Lucas's screw-up with the elevator, we'd never had stumbled across the book, and it was in the pages of the book that the seeds of this whole plan started. I would be remiss not to mention it. Also, I did not come up with the plan solely on my own. I had input from Emma, Aaron, Melanie, Minji, Jose, and others. Wow, Jack, that's a lot of names. Yep, I haven't mentioned them before because, well, it was safer not to. But now let's talk about Emma and Aaron and Lucas and Darlene and everybody else, and what they've been up to while I was in room 313. In the beginning of her hospitalization, Darlene begged to be returned to Harmony Care Home and clung to the corpse of her dead cat Mickles, only releasing him after a violent fit. But after several days, she underwent a dramatic physical and mental recovery, shedding years until she seemed less an octogenarian with dementia and more a slightly confused 60-year-old. Upon her discharge, she had mostly returned to her old self and seemed to believe she had stayed at Harmony Care to recover from an illness. She expressed a desire to return someday in her sunset years, but for the time being seemed happy in her daily life, and was especially overjoyed to be greeted by Prometheus, waiting for her at home. Yep, Emma took him back. Can't believe how much I missed the big fluff ball. Thanks for all the fishy kisses, buddy. Lucas actually had a harder time reconciling his memories of Harmony Care Home with reality, since he was shocked to find he'd essentially been a missing person while working his new job. Furious over his stolen days, he became a dedicated part of Emma's team, along with Aaron and their mutual friend Minji. As for Emma, she went to extraordinary lengths to make sure she would not forget me. We'd already tested and found out that on the days we didn't initially meet up at the care home, the amnesia was too powerful for her to overcome. The only way for her to fight its effects after I'd gone was by making sure she always came and touched the peeling sign. Touch made the illusion fall away, so that she could see the black grime streaking its surface. Only then would she review our notes and videos and actually believe them. For the duration of my time in room 313, Emma lived in a B&B nearby so that she would not miss a day of touching the sign. Then around 10 each morning, after she'd gotten her own memories in order, she'd message the others and they'd meet up to resume her main project, reaching out to families. You see, breaking the amnesia is difficult, but not impossible. especially when some of these family members already had wriggling doubts about the fates of their loved ones. Emma's tireless efforts allowed her to slowly make inroads with about a dozen people out of the hundreds who'd recently lost relatives. She also reached out to various agencies, sending the evidence she had gathered of incongruities that didn't add up, suggestive of paranormal activity, trying in all these little ways to bring a spotlight to the care home. In short, while I was still stuck in 313, typing up Reddit posts, Emma was laying the groundwork, doing all the heavy lifting that would be critical to our plan. And now let's talk about those secret messages I spent so much time crafting. Too obvious? Too hidden? The first ones were literally written in bold, so if you didn't notice them, get your eyes checked. Go back, and look for them in the first and second posts. In the subsequent posts, look for all caps, or if you don't want to keep looking, you can just read them here. Number 1. Help. I'm trapped in room 313. Save me. 2. Call the police. Tell them Fitzroy's body is here. Come save me. 3. Emma, do not come. It knows. 4. Arson. Call authorities as distraction. Meet sub-basement for ritual. 5. The name is Fizem. Now. The last two are the ones that really matter. One of them explains the plan. Set fire to the building as a distraction while sneaking into the sub-basement to perform the ritual. The other gives the names, or at least the word Roderick used when summoning the entity, which was Schism, as well as the time for our plan's execution. Now. The moment I post. The moment Emma reads and decodes the message. Now. Let's go there. Now. At the moment of the final message, Emma is probably at her usual coffee shop with Aaron and Lucas and Minji, all of them reviewing their notes because they have to do this every morning due to the amnesia. Lucas maybe asks Emma something like this. So did you guys really hook up? Shut up. No? Maybe? I don't remember. Like I actually do remember him, says Lucas. Because I remember working there and I know they're false memories or whatever, but he has a visitor. But he was a visitor and we went down the elevator and he tried holding my hand the whole time. Emma snorts and smirks, shakes her head over her oat milk latte. She actually does know we hooked up, because she has a video message she made for herself about it. But she doesn't share that with the group because of how strange it makes her feel. She's also wearing my hoodie, the same one I've got on in the video with my face stitched up. And maybe the feel of it, or the scent of it, helps her remember me a little bit. But mostly she is driven by her memories of what the care home did to Grams, because of what she recalls when she touches the peeling sign each morning. She remembers meeting with me in the parking lot, in the book with the chicken soup dust jacket. She has the book now. And then she remembers seeing Grams holding the dead cat, the dust jacket coming off. In her notes, she has written, I've read all Jack's posts, and it's like, I know his face when I see him in the videos. I even know what he's going to say. Usually something idiotic and jokey. But who is this guy? If nothing else, I have to rescue him from this care home so I can at least meet him. Emma is still writing when she gets a notification. She reads the final post, writes down the name, and immediately begins reaching out to the family she's connected with. And now, while Emma and company are reading my post, I am hunched at my keyboard, jaw clenched and head swimming, trying with all my might to stay in the present, because it's been over 2 weeks and the illusion, it really does swim in and out. When my fingers are tapping on the keys, I remember, but when I just sit here, it seeps over me, and I'm in that happy, dreamy place. And it's so easy to lose hours and hours there, especially because I'm so tired all the time. Part of my exhaustion is sleep deprivation. Seriously, how many winks would you catch in a haunted care home? Not to mention I've been off my injections, so my hormones are all out of whack from missing tea. I've also had very little to eat because I don't have a fridge in this room, and the only food I trust is the chips and prepackaged stuff I brought with me. So I've mostly been operating on caffeine and terror. In short, I was a mess before I got connected to the custodian. But ever since the connection, the more I exercise, the more I eat, the more I try to regain energy, the more deeply I'm drained. So I haven't really been moving much in the past few days. My phone rings. Emma. We're only supposed to message each other casually to pretend everything is normal. It's probably some bullcrap just to throw Lolita off for today. I open it so I can craft a reply. Minji found out we hooked up and keeps joking about me having babies. We used protection, right? I just stare for ages, total disbelief. And then I laugh so hard I almost cry. Emma, read your notes again, babe. You can't have my babies no matter how much you want to. I never said I want to. What are you talking about? It was a question. I'm trans. If I got you pregnant, that would be some immaculate conception miracle. Oh, okay. You don't remember me at all, do you? My heart is hammering my ribs like it's going to shatter them, panic rising. Because if she's forgotten me, has she forgotten the plan? Am I going to be trapped here? Will I have to escape on my own? How? And suddenly I cannot breathe, cannot think, cannot process anything as my vision closes in, until there is only those 3 dots blinking across my screen. My breath held, my life suspended there. The dots vanish. Emma doesn't respond. The air leaves my body in a whoosh. I don't remember sinking to the floor, but the next thing I'm sensible of is that I'm leaning against the wall below the window, angling my head to see the blue sky and hear birds chirping. And some part of me knows that it's November, and the forecast is cloudy, and I shouldn't hear bird song, but I close my eyes and listen anyway, and pretend I feel the sunshine, and I just sink back into the illusion, because there's nowhere left for me to go. Meanwhile, Emma, Lucas, Aaron, and Minji arrive at the care home, converging with family members of residents whom Emma contacted. It is the most visitors that have ever gathered at one time since the care home's closure 4 decades ago. After some brief discussion and after everyone has touched the sign and the peeling paint, Gemma Rivera, the sister of Ronnie, leads the family members into the lobby to demand to visit their loved ones. Emma, Lucas, and Aaron, meanwhile, sneak across the grounds to the damaged south wing and fling Molotovs and smoke bombs, while Minji drives into cellular range and calls the fire department. Before long, flames roar out the broken windows of the south wing. Sirens wail. I am so immersed in the dream of birdsong and sunshine that I almost don't hear the sirens. It's like being high, an intoxicating blend of euphoria and despair, because I don't want to wake up back to reality. But as the sirens grow louder and part of my brain whispers, "Hey, Jack, get up! The plan! Move!" And despite the exhaustion, my muscles tense, limbs dragging me upwards into the door. Oh my God, my legs feel so atrophied. I didn't realize how bad it was until now. With my muscles wobbling like jelly beneath me, I'm not sure if I can even make it to the ritual room. Come on, Jack. You used to do parkour, you can handle the stairs. I'm stunned at how much smoke is in the hall. Feeling my way down the corridor, I pause twice to catch my breath. By the time I make it to the lobby, firefighters and family members are arguing with Lolita and the dead nurses about evacuating. I can't really hear what's going on. There's a lot of confusion in the cacophony of voices. Avoiding the crowd, I duck around the hallway and down to the basement stairs, open the door, and plunge in. Pitch black. Forgot about the pitch black. Normally, my inner monologue would supply me with a little humor to help me through the scary bits, but it's just a series of screw me's over and over again, mixed with some, "Say goodbye, Jax." I'm too ill and exhausted for levity. In the pitch-dark basement, it's always possible to meet the custodian. I scurry as fast as I can to the hidden door, to the stairwell that leads down to the ritual room. I have just passed through the door when, shuffle, shuffle, something is behind me, and I slam the door shut and quickly descend the final staircase down to the ritual room. The staircase is long, seemingly stretching forever, and there are no railings. I cling to the walls, desperately praying I don't stumble. It would be easy to break my neck and a dumb way to die after all I've been through. And then, I'm in the ritual room. I flick on the light switch, and a single, golden orb illuminates the table, casting the wood and the rug and the symbols in stark relief, while leaving the rest of the room shuttered in darkness. I lurch forward, fumble in my pockets for the pages on which I've made notes of the incantation and the name. Something clatters behind me. I turn my head, squint into the darkness at a shape shuffling just outside of the light. Ronnie. He's followed me down the staircase. I'm just about to retreat when cold fingers seize my wrist. Another hand grabs my other arm. Even if I had the strength to thrash and fight, the grip of the dead is vice-like, and the rotting odor chokes me. I'm dragged away from the table and into the center of the room. Byrne, Gerard, Kendra, and other living dead are all around me. An ambush. And then a whisper at my ear, and the glowing figure of Lolita appears beside me, grinning ear to ear beneath wide blue eyes. Hey, Jack. The first time I visited Queenie in room 333, I had no idea who she was, only that she was among the oldest at the care home, a bedridden, rumpled old lady who seemed to always be sleeping. Unlike most residents, who lasted only a few weeks to a few months, she'd lived here for years. I had a better idea of her identity the next time I met her, when I entered in the role of manager to fix the phone in her room. I approached her bedside to tell her the phone was fixed and squeezed her withered hand. Her skin felt smooth, young. For a fraction of a second, the illusion broke, and she was a beautiful and ageless blonde, eyes closed in endless dreaming. Then I realized her hand and the wrinkles returned. The old woman appeared to scowl at me. I smiled as if I hadn't noticed a thing and said, "Phone's working. Ring if you need anything, Queenie." That encounter confirmed my suspicions of what happened in 1981. Lolita is Queenie, and beneath the illusion, she hasn't aged a day. My guess is Roderick broke her neck on that fateful night, intending her to die. But she did not die. Instead, she achieved something Roderick continually failed. She completed the ritual and summoned something from the other side. You see, Roderick spent so much time sacrificing others, like a man killing one turkey, then a dozen to make a bigger feast. But they were not truly a sacrifice, because they meant nothing to him. But the pain and anguish and misery Lolita experienced as she lay dying of a broken neck was not another person's, but her own. Her suffering, as she offered herself, was real, and the custodian answered her. It gave her immortal life, while locking her ageless body in a coma. From within this accursed sleep, she could dream herself back into her perfect youth, dream the care home into whatever reality she wished, and draw others into that dream. She could control the dead, moving them like puppets and seeing through their eyes. And after I was converted, through mine, and thus spy on everyone in her domain. If the custodian is the care home's paranormal beating heart, Lolita is the brain, and she can continue living this way forever, so long as she keeps the custodian fed. The living dead dragged me to my knees like a prisoner before a queen. Oh, Jack, what a complete idiot you are. Lolita claps her hands girlishly. With your cute little plan and all your secret messages, did you really think I wouldn't notice? I mean, I kind of thought you'd be distracted, to be honest, I mumble. Please, I knew you'd make one last big try, but where are your friends? She pouts. Poor Jack, did they forget about you? They're coming with the feds. Emma's been sending out her notes on this place. You're on the map, Lolita. You're going to get shut down this time for good. Oh, come on now. These last-ditch lies are pretty pathetic. But then she stops. Her blue eyes widen. What? She blinks. Wait, what? Hey, I say to Lolita. Hey, this part's important. The secret messages. Are you sure you read them correctly? What are... She demands, staring off at something I can't see. What are you doing here? Guessing you didn't read them that correctly then. You must have missed the secret ones. There were the bold and capped secret ones, and then there were the secret ones with the typos. But you have to count 3 words after... Shut up, you brainless, babbling idiot! She screams at me. The dead hands gripping my arms fling me into a bookshelf, knocking over volumes off it that topple around me. My head rings from the impact. I'm trying to push myself up when one of the dead grabs me again and slams me down on the table. Ow. But I still find it in me to snicker as she screams at me. Jack, you little bastard! You see, the first set of messages were obvious, so that you, dear readers, and definitely Lolita would find them. But the second set, you were almost certain to miss them unless you knew the system Emma and I agreed upon beforehand. Misspelled words. Count 3 words after. The full set of secret messages reads as follows. Number 1. Help. I'm trapped in room 313. Save me. Lolita is in room 333. Number 2. Call the police. Tell them Fitzroy's body is in here. Come save me. Bring weapons. 3. Emma, do not come at nose. Use window. Don't be seen. 4. Arson. Call authorities as distraction. Meet sub-basement for ritual. No ritual. Use distraction to kill Lolita's body. 5. The name is Fizem. Now. And this is why, in my prior posts, I had to pretend Lolita wasn't important enough to factor into my considerations. I wanted her to think I was dead set on the ritual, and that she should bring all her puppets down here to meet me and stop me. Except I was never going to take out the custodian. If I've learned anything from previous paranormal encounters, it's not to mess with any sort of entity. But unlike the custodian, Lolita is human, with human faults and foibles. She got used by Roderick when he had her light the fire and then all but murdered her. And if Roderick could trick her, I could too. She thought I was here to play the hero. That's funny. I already said, Jack here isn't the hero in any universe. Nope, Emma's the hero. I'm just here as the distraction. While Lolita and her puppets are ambushing me, Emma, Lucas, and Aaron are nowhere near. No, they don't even enter the building, where they might be seen by one of Lolita's puppets. Instead, they sneak around outside, keeping well away from view and dressed in firefighter clothes, so that they won't arouse any suspicion should someone glance at the windows. Lucas, a trained firefighter, helps them set the long ladder to the window of room 333, and then Lucas ascends first, followed by Aaron and lastly Emma, all three armed with fire axes or machetes. On shattering the window and climbing in, Lucas finds himself face to face with a bedridden old woman. What? Says the startled old woman. What are you doing here? I think we got the wrong room, guys, Lucas calls down. Bring her down, it's the right room, shrills Emma. Lucas obediently reaches for the old woman, only to swear when a cold hand seizes him from behind and drags him backwards. Lucas! Shrieks Emma. Aaron climbs faster, scrambling into the room just in time to see an impossible sight. An old man throttling Lucas. Lolita kept one of her dead residents with her, my gamble apparently not succeeding in luring all of her living dead down into the basement. Aaron rushes forward, football tackling the old man only to scream, when upon his contact with the corpse, he breaks the illusion and finds himself face to face with Jacob Mortimer, maggots wriggling and rotting eyes and teeth falling from his gaping mouth. Oh my God! Aaron skitters away on his backside while Lucas coughs and chokes, struggling to sit up. The dead man lunges for them. I'll kill you! Lolita shrieks. I roll off the table and duck behind it, but then the corpse of Kendra Jones lifts that whole heavy thing right up. Oh no. I try to crawl back, but there's nowhere to go. She brings the solid oak table down on top of me. Hell! Aaron swings his machete as Jacob Mortimer lunges with almost inhuman speed. Emma climbs into the window just as the dead man takes the machete in the arm, but then grabs Aaron's face, shrieking. Emma leaps on Jacob Mortimer's back, only to be shrugged off effortlessly. But Lucas is now up, axe in hand. The dead man staggers as Lucas drives the axe into his skull, and he releases Aaron, turning to face Lucas, who backs away. Where the hell is the old woman? Yells Emma. She disappeared! She disappeared! Calls Aaron as he snatches up his machete again, lunging once more at the dead man. While Lucas and Aaron circle the dead man, Emma looks frantically around the room. She knows the dead man will eventually kill them, knows from my story about the murdered cop that these living dead are far stronger than they look, and more are most definitely on their way up from the basement by now. She must act fast. But where is Lolita? How is it possible she disappeared? Before climbing into the room, Emma saw Lucas reaching down toward that bed beside the window, and then suddenly Emma understands. Unlike me, Emma cannot see through the illusion. But she doesn't have to, because she has noticed where the dead man battles Lucas and Aaron, and where he avoids, and that he does not attempt to throw either of them at or near the empty bed. Emma lunges with her machete, snarling, and brings it down with all her might in an arc to that empty pillow where someone had recently lain. And the blade cleaves straight into flesh, into the shoulder of a sleeping young woman with blonde hair, and the illusion of a scream pierces the air, and then Emma reels back and swings again, and this time takes the head off. When the Lolita illusion disappears, the living dead in the ritual room collapse, the will that was puppeting them gone. I'm still lying beneath that heavy overturned table, alive, but I have no strength to lift it or wriggle out from under it. I'm stuck unless someone comes down and saves me, or tingles. Oh, I know these tingles. Not the custodian, no. These are hot, cold. And even though I've just gone through an experience objectively far scarier than anything I've dealt with before, still the reaction in my body is purely physical. A gut-wrenching, heart-thudding, muscle-clenching fear. I cannot control the gut punch of terror any more than I can stop the crawling of my skin. It's a terror I know very, very well. "Hey, lady," I say by the way of greeting as the shadows coalesce around me. A woman steps out of the dark. She wasn't there before, but her vivid red dress is unmistakable, hugging her curves and pooling around her shapely legs. And she kneels beside me and purrs. "Hey, Jack." "Is it that time then?" I ask. Pretty sure she's here to kill me. Probably by tracing those claws across my skin and then peeling the skin right off and reaching in to tug out my guts and tie them in a nice bow while I'm screaming and screaming. That's pretty much how I always imagine it. But she says, "I know you won't sign a contract with me now. You'd rather do something totally wasteful like die here in this place and become the Schism's permanent manager. But one day, Jack, one day, you'll be desperate enough to call for me and sign. And next time, I won't lose. But for now, you're still free, so you'd better do what you're best at. Run, Jackie boy, run, or you'll be here forever." I'm about to point out that I can't run, but she grips the table in one delicate hand and without so much as a grunt of effort, heaves it so that it slams into the far wall, blocking the door to the elevator corridor, leaving only the hidden staircase back up, an indication which way I should run. By the time I stop gaping, the lady is gone. But I can feel the beginnings of a kind of scrambling in my head like static, so I run. As the efforts of Lolita's death ripple across the entirety of the care home, screams fill the air. Panic suffuses the atmosphere as people cling to each other, screaming, crying. Everyone can see it now. The illusion is broken. The people Emma summoned, they're all looking at the reality of Harmony Care Home. The broken windows, the rotting furniture, the streaks on the peeling walls, and of course the dead, seated at the tables, mummifying on beds or in armchairs. Ben's corpse with her mouth full of pills, lying halfway up the staircase, and just below her, the putrefying Kendra Jones. Soon after, the feds are called out, some sort of specialized team. The rest of us who are inside have all been corralled outside, and no one is allowed to enter or go near. It's as I'm being bundled in a blanket and into an ambulance that my phone rings. "Jack, are you okay?" Define okay. "Oh, thank God, where are you? The witch is dead." I tell Emma I am being taken to the hospital. She says she will meet me there. First, she and Aaron and Lucas must deal with Lolita's body. They plan to bury it somewhere remote, far from any possibility of resurrection by the custodian. Where they actually complete this act, I do not know. And now nobody ever will, because they did not record notes about it. Unfortunately, their task takes them longer than I expect. By the time they arrive at the hospital, I have succumbed to the combination of weakness and fatigue. I am deep in sleep. When I wake, I find Emma has left me a video message on my phone, chronicling the events of the day, ending with a faint, regretful smile as she says, "Sweet dreams, Jack." But I don't have sweet dreams. I'm not sure if I ever will again. They did something to me in there, in that room where they connected me with the custodian. They tattooed something on my eyes, some of those same strange, squiggling symbols as are on the ceiling. I think it's how Lolita could see through my vision. Darlene and the other residents have these same markings, and now, anytime I close my eyes, I see that place. I see the room where they kept me, 313. The care home is gone, Lolita is dead and buried, but they planted a small part of the care home in me, and now, anytime I dream, I can never truly leave. So that's the second paranormal being that's marked me. When I came out of my coma after escaping the lady, I woke to find a new tattoo mingling with the snake and abstract designs on my left arm. Her face is there, the eyes meeting mine anytime I look at it. And now, with whatever the care home did to my eyeballs, it's getting crowded here on this flesh of mine. I can still see the markings on my eyes, faint red lines forming strange symbols over each iris. It's now been 2 days since my escape from the care home. I've spent most of that time recuperating and typing up this post. I've seen nothing on the news, presumably because of the amnesia, as well as the lack of photographic evidence. Anyone who has been to the care home has forgotten. Emma, her friends, family members of the residents. Not a one of them remembers anything about that day. Neither do I, beyond my notes, of course. As for the care home itself, it's become a dead zone, cordoned off by the authorities. Even the street that runs by it is permanently blocked. All website material related to it has disappeared, including all my reviews, and it no longer pops up on GPS. I did manage to access some of the accounts that I had access to as a manager, and transfer a fair bit of capital over before Harmony Care's assets got frozen and became inaccessible to me. I do not know what government team or agency is responsible, but it would seem they did a very thorough cleanup. I have one more thing I'd like to tell you about. A video Emma took on the morning I was about to sign myself into the care home. We were in the parking lot. I just lit a joint, presumably to shake off some of the jitters, and Emma aimed her phone at me and started recording. I don't want to forget you. Emma, we know what's going to happen. The camera shakes, turns until Emma is facing it on herself, her eyes wet with tears and her mouth twisted in a scowl as she wipes at her cheeks and talks to the camera. Emma, remember, listen, you have to remember this is Jack. The camera flicks to me before turning back to herself. He's the guy who risked his life to help you get Grams out. You're going to wake up thinking he's just some dumb scammer, but he's not. You remember that he put his life in danger for you and Grams and everyone else. And if he dies, remember that he is a good person no matter how much he pretends not to be. Promise me. Jack, promise you'll help me remember you. When I look at this video, I see a beautiful girl whose face I only recognize from our shared notes. And this beautiful girl is in tears, just pouring out her heart openly, bravely. Then she turns the camera on a man in his late 20s, a man who looks like he's been through it. His dark eyes are tense with what I have to assume is at least 3/4 parts terror, given what he is about to do. But also, he looks frozen by emotions he doesn't know how to process. When he says, I promise, he looks at the camera, at me, like he knows I'm going to be watching in the future and it'll be on me to keep this promise or not. And for the life of me, I cannot decipher what he means by that look. Tell her? Not tell her? Does any of it even matter when we can't remember each other? I look at the video and it's like watching raw emotional footage of two strangers. What would I even say to that girl in the video now? What has a girl like her got to do with a guy like me? But here's what I would tell her. I guess. I wish you and your Grams and the cats all the best. I consider making this post to be a fulfillment of my promise to the past you from the video. Promise delivered. And I hope that maybe that past version of you can be happy now, knowing that you're okay. I'm okay. Everything turned out okay. And hey, I may not remember you, but the guy in the video sends his love. He wanted me to tell you that, to tell you both to be happy, now and forever. Love, Jack.